So, you ever get that feeling in your stomach where you're so excited for something you think you could cry? That's how I feel right now. I feel like I'm laughing to keep from crying too, but I don't know if that's an emotion that most people can relate to, because I feel like that every year when RWBY comes out. It's such a momentous occasion for me to experience a season of RWBY, you know, the series that got me into Rooster Teeth, which is a big reason why we're all here together now for a different purpose, being Red versus Blue. You know, it goes away for a really long time, but then when it comes back, it's an opportunity for me to strengthen my love for the show, for the characters, for the journey that we're going on that I've been a part of for so long. And it's kind of built up in a different way for Red versus Blue. You know, I started this series 3 fucking years ago. 3 years ago on my channel, following RWBY Volume 3, I said to myself, I want to pay it forward. I want to see the company that has given me so much with RWBY and with my channel and with my content. I want to kind of go to the beginning and see what built this company up. Red vs. Blue, Episode 1, Season 1, Blood Gulch Chronicles. Why are we here? We've made it through Blood Gulch. We've made it through the Recollection trilogy. We've made it through miniseries. We've made it through hours of me just rambling my thoughts, my theories, my speculations of this show, of this series. It is so rich. It is so special. And I feel like Season 10 is a very special moment for a lot of reasons, right? I cannot tell you how many people have told me nothing but high expectations, high anticipation, and hype overall for Season 10. It's a lot of people's favorite season of Red vs. Blue as a whole. It's the second act, if you will, of the Project Freelancer storyline that I'm incredibly excited about. Season 9 was so fucking cool, of getting the past and the present, getting all of these freelancers that we knew about in small doses here and there throughout the series, whether it be the miniseries or the, you know, the actual seasons. And it's so rewarding. There's so much payoff. There's so much callbacks and references, and the investment is made. The investment pays off so well by the time you get to Season 9. And, you know, this is the last thing that I'm going to see of the late Montiome, the creator of RWBY, which is the main reason why I'm even here to begin with. It is, you know, it's Bernie Burns' last at bat for being the writer of Red vs. Blue before Miles takes over for the Chorus trilogy. There's just so many things that are capping off this season. You know, the end of the Freelancer saga, the end of, you know, the last thing that I see of Monty's, Bernie's Bernie's kind of just passing of the torch for Red versus Blue to the next generation. And I have so many expectations. There's so many things I'm looking forward to, so many things that I want to happen. And like, there's a lot of excitement going on in here right now, but it's also being combated with emotions, because I don't know, it's a momentous occasion. Season 10, 3 fucking years we've waited for this. You know, you guys especially who have enjoyed my reactions and my videos and everything else in between, and I just don't know what to expect. This is the first batch of many. If you guys are seeing this on early access on Patreon, you guys more than anything, I'm indebted to you for the amount of breaks and hiatuses that I've gone on, and especially those of you on YouTube too. Even if you don't contribute directly to the channel, it's still a factor of, there's so many people who have just been supportive and have been incredibly patient and have waited and waited and waited for me to get to this point. And we still have the Chorus trilogy, we still have the Season 14 anthology, we still have the Shizno Paradox trilogy, and whatever else the future of this series has. I'd hope to be, fingers crossed, caught up by next year. But there's so many things, you know. The last thing that we left off with Season 9, after the capture unit kind of failed, Epsilon was rescued by the Reds and Blues. Tex was set free. We got the first half of Project Freelancer, mainly the dynamic of the freelancers, seeing a little bit of the director, learning about the synergy, the camaraderie, the banter, the people who like each other, the people who don't like each other within the project. We've seen, I think, all of the freelancers shine in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the twins or whether it's the Spiral mission. I think this season is going to kind of ramp things up even more. If you've seen my review, if you've seen my discussion of Season 9, there's so many things that I want to line up. A lot of past events that have been mentioned in previous videos and in previous episodes, like the Epsilon break-in, or if people are going to find out that CT is a traitor, or, you know, what happens to the director after the project is disbanded, what happens to all the freelancers, what happens to the AI that are still around by Blood Gulch. There's so many things that I want to line up, and the last big thing is Monty. You know, Monty Ohm was like the light of my life when I first heard his name and when I first got into RWBY. As silly as that might sound, he had such a big impact on my life, a big impact in shaping me, even in my 20s, you know, with the RWBY series, with Volume 1 and Volume 2, and, you know, his passing shook the foundation of the community for all different reasons. You know, his influence with RWBY, his influence with Red vs. Blue, his influence on us as fans of his, and the fact that he inspired so many of us. And this is going to be the final thing that I see that he worked on. And a lot of people say that this is his magnus opus. This is like his greatest work as an animator. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see how Bernie, you know, leaves off the season for Miles, which I heard Miles also does a bit of writing with him for season 10 before he takes over for the Chorus trilogy. And the story overall, you know, Epsilon's story, the Reds and Blues story, Carolina's back in the picture, you know, she comes back in at the very end. She wants to kill the director. So there's a lot of animosity. There's a lot of, I guess, loose ends that have to be tied up for everybody, whether it be revenge, whether it be the continuation of the story, or whatever the case might be. I'm just nervous, you know? I'm nervous, I'm anxious in a good way. This series is incredibly important to me, it's incredibly special to me. I didn't think I'd love these characters as much as I love the RWBY gang, you know what I mean? And who knows how I'll feel by the end of this, if this will overtake my love for RWBY, or if it'll just still be something that's incredibly special and something that I felt the need to kind of go back and check out. But this is my first batch reactions for Red vs. Blue Season 10. This should be episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. A lot of things to process. Obviously, brand new shit. I'm going to be paying attention, hopefully, as much as possible. As you guys know, I rewatch and do the reviews and the discussions afterwards. But I'm just excited to see the current real-world present, along with the past of Project Freelancer, everything else in between. If there's anything left of text post the I Forget You scene, there's so much that I'm looking forward to. And more importantly, thank you guys for being patient. Thank you guys for being supportive. Thank you guys for being along for this journey for me. You guys make it so much cooler and so much more awesome with leaving comments and being interactive as you guys have been these last few years. And I know season 10 is something that a lot of you guys are looking forward to, and I want to do right by that, as I'm now finally back to my return to form for Red vs. Blue season 10. But without further ado, that's just my little bit of a sentiment at the beginning there for how I'm currently feeling going into this. But as always, thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you guys so much for sticking through with me. Get excited, get hyped. Season 10, episode 1 through 4 reactions. Let's jump into it. All right, boys and girls, we're going to be jumping into Red vs. Blue Season 10, episode 1 through 4. This is going to be my reactions for it. I am so fucking nervous. It's going to be about 23 minute reaction. So as always, leave your thoughts in the comments. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. But without further ado, oh my god, we're gonna be starting in 3, 2, 1, now. Now! Please, now! Oh no, what's wrong with my button? Oh wait, are we good? Okay. Oh my god, that scared me. Okay, UNSC Sports Network? What the heck? Oh, where are we? Where is this? Oh, who's that? Oh, is this what, a freelancer case file? Many years ago. Oh, this is the past! They're getting right into it! Oh shit, the cats! Oh, Delta!
Work in the past 13 minutes and 42 seconds. That strikes me as rather inefficient.
Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to,
Wait, where's York?
get a new window, you know, like the...
Where's York? What the hell?
What's a button thing for that?
I believe the keys you are looking for are Alt-Tab.
Oh, yeah.
Is this a mission? Is he in the Project Freelancer base?
You don't look like the normal holo projection.
That is because I am the AI designated as Delta from
Oh
Project
my...
Freelancer.
Oh!
Project Freelancer? I mean, aren't those the bad guys?
There is no need
Bad
for
guy.
name calling.
Oh, this is a
Project
heist!
Freelancer
This is an
will
infiltration!
embrace your badge,
York's
much
here!
like your own forces. We are merely two groups dedicated to attaining different results.
Whoa,
Of course, the logic!
that's deep. It's like there's different universes, but you know, there's
Yo, big... Yeah! York!
already long-winded.
Oh, they're already together!
thought you two would never stop chit-chatting.
Oh
I'm not
my
sure
god.
that was
They're
entirely
together!
necessary. He seemed open to the logic I presented him. Perhaps he would have allowed us to carry out our mission.
Sorry I knocked out your new friend. Now you two will never get to have a beer together.
Oh
I
my
believe
god,
that
get
it can
along!
be regardless.
Oh my
Showtime.
god, oh, this is the lot, so he's the infiltrator.
Yes, sir. These guys love their holographic locks. I'll let Delta take a peek in their system while I try to
Oh
disable
my
the manual.
god, this is so hype!
Curious.
They work so
What's
well!
curious? That's code for bad, isn't it?
I've detected an anomaly inside of the system. Something that is not supposed to be there.
Um?
Running subroutines to investigate.
Don't get too curious in there.
What are they getting? What are they here
Do not
for?
worry, Agent York. I have already rectified several instances where you have tripped the alarm system.
Wow! Oh, take care of this guy, dude!
Give me back my leprechaun.
Oh, get fucked. Oh, that's the animation that Monty did!
May I remind you that we are running short on
I saw the clip where they did that!
Warning, an alarm has been remotely triggered.
What? By who?
They knew we were coming. Agent York, abort intrusion.
Oh, you need to get in or get out, dude!
Wait. I can do this. Just
Hurry
give me a
up!
moment, sir.
Online, Director.
I agree with the
Awaiting
director.
your command.
Delta.
I've yet to see you successfully open a lock in the field, and this alarm will only
Oh,
hamper your
damn,
progress.
he hasn't
Okay, now
done it
don't you
yet.
start in on me too. We've been talking to
Oh
Washington.
my god.
haven't
Agent York,
Washington.
we are out of time. I repeat, abort.
Target locked.
Oh,
you?
shit.
What target is locked? What's
You!
the target? Delta, what are they doing?
Taking more direct measures.
You knew about
What
this?
is happening?
Possibly.
Why didn't you tell him? Oh my god! Get out!
Why, you little cocksucker.
Oh my god. Yo! Let's go! Yo, is that the Oh my god! Season 10! Let's go! Oh my god, Jorgen! Oh my god. Yo, back to the bed!
I need your help. I'm tracking the director
You're
of Project
getting
Freelancer,
Delta!
and you're my best bet for figuring out what hole he's hiding in.
Holy! You know we're really doing it.
Carolina!
Sarge constantly trying to get people to look at him and whatnot.
Come on, Sarge. He's dead now. He was shot. Remember?
Oh, right. Probably has a few more holes in, huh?
Come on!
What?
Where's the
you there?
director?
Appropriate amount of time that can go by for that joke to be okay.
Whatever, you big blue.
Oh my god, this is right after season
Why are you
9.
doing alive, Carolina? You're
Yes!
supposed to be dead.
Yes!
This is impossible.
That's a funny thing to say. For a guy who's literally a ghost.
I'm a motherfucking ghost.
He's a computer program. He gets holographically projected on our armor when he wants to talk to us.
Yeah.
Graphic computer program.
Oh my god. Caboose.
You say the craziest things sometimes. What an imagination on you.
I
Oh
don't know what
god.
that first word means, but it sounds the same.
Oh my god, I can't believe season
Hey,
10.
how we doing in here? Wash? You got Epsilon
Washington,
out?
he still has his
Can't
old
hold on much
armor.
longer. They're not too happy about us breaking in.
How did you and Carolina see each other?
Same old Carolina.
Yeah.
Coming back from the dead doesn't change anybody.
Oh my god.
Why are you wearing blue armor?
He
Why
faked
are
his
you
death.
wearing my armor? Oh,
Faked his death.
Oh, yeah. They sort of
Now
made
he's a
me
blue.
Replace you on blue team? Replace me?
Whoa, you can't replace church.
But there's no word for take over for you and make everything better almost immediately, so we just say replace. When did this happen?
Right after the
Remember
capture
when you went
unit.
into the memory unit and
Yeah.
then everyone was sad? Yeah, it was right after that.
Right out, like
after I
immediately
left,
after that, they
it was
replaced
right
you.
After, but it was like 5 or
Like 5 minutes after.
We had to move on. I think I just got dumped by Caboose.
Wow.
It's unfucking believable. Yeah, it's not me. It's you.
Epsilon, they
Ah.
just even the teams. It's really not.
Hey, would you guys stop calling me Epsilon? I'm
Church.
now. Oh,
Church. Yes. Epsilon
New
Church.
guy church.
Come on. Caboose,
What?
relax.
Caboose just finds it easier. The armor color confuses him.
Yeah. He's so innocent. I love him.
Straight, Agent Washington. You took my name too? It's only in
Took his name, took his armor, took his position.
Or need to fill out paperwork.
Oh, I love the banter right at the beginning.
Well, this is awkward.
Sarge is just in the middle of
I think the
it.
quickest solution would be a good old-fashioned thinning of the ranks with my trusty shotgun. Takers.
We're fine.
Well, it was worth a a shot.
Yeah.
Come in this round, Blue.
It's worth a shotgun.
Back. Actually, this guy's been kicking our ass.
Yo, Carolina's
Kinda glad
putting
to
in
have you
work in the
back.
background.
Sure will be nice to have an idiot in charge of Blue Team again.
Thanks.
Simmons, Griff.
It's great to be needed.
Oh boy.
Everyone,
Yo,
front and
let's
center
go. Oh my god. Yo, is that the first episode already? Are you fucking kidding me? Dude, past, present. I fucking love it. Please keep doing this. UNSC Scrap Metal Recycling Center station many years ago. Rip that guy. Episode 2? Dude, it's already picking up. Alright, so York and Delta, they blew their fucking cover. He's gonna get demoted now.
Sir, enemy
The
fighters
counselor,
approaching.
the
I
director.
do, counselor. Let's send them back to the
Yo, he looks a lot better. Let's go, mother of invention. Get the hell out of here. RT-636, like they're building 636 at the time. Wow.
It appears we are now taking fire.
Are there any other?
drop ships?
Are there any other AI? Are there any other AI alive right now? Because then that means Alpha's still getting tortured. Oh my god. Yeah, York's the first one to get his AI
That went to
too.
hell quicker than we thought. Out of the
Hey,
5.
479er.
Shit. We're going to need a new insertion point. You're supposed to open the leader's
Carolina, do you have your AI
We'll
yet?
have to settle for the main hangar. Which one is that? The one with the shooting things
The
coming out
main
of it.
hangar. Yeah, that one right there. Dude, look at this
Never a good moment,
animation!
huh? I'd get your team ready. We're gonna come in hot.
Holy shit, this is nuts. Oh,
You
the
heard her.
squad!
We're
Everyone's
going for the
together!
main hangar. Be
CT!
ready for anything.
So much for a smooth ride.
CT and
What's
Sal
the
doing a
matter?
mission
Feeling
together?
sick?
Hey, I'm not the one that needed a barf bag on all our family trips.
How are you feeling? Are you up to this?
Hey, they're
You wanna say,
twins!
Wash?
It's just getting up your AI was a big deal.
Whoa,
Maybe
what?
you'll be fine.
She got
Worry
it!
about yourself. You're awfully quiet. Oh, just trying to prepare myself.
Yeah, oh,
Worst comes
she's...
to worst, we'll just get kicked off the leaderboard. At least us ladies will be sticking together, right?
Yeah, that's what you think.
Damn it!
She's a traitor and you're gonna kill your brother later.
Rear bank.
Oh my god, they're all on a mission together. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god, more fucking music? Dude, are you serious?
Right. All together. Use your pack sparingly.
Yo, CT is on a
Correction
mission!
only. You don't want to end up like Georgia.
Wait, what happened to
Georgia, what happened to Georgia?
They never found him.
Are you sure these things are safe?
Now.
Rip Georgia, by the way. Yo, let's fucking go! Oh my god, I'm so hyped! Yeah! Oh, that looks so awesome!
We're under attack!
Yo, the animation
Shit, we're
looks
under
so
attack. What do you think
crazy!
we're doing? Rolling out the red carpet? No, ass Look!
Wow! Yo, is that south with the north with the sniper? Oh!
Not again. Sorry about that.
Oh my god! Yo, Jeff again! Woo! Yeah, well, yeah, he's got the sniper. Dude! Oh, she's got the gravity hammer. She took it. Oh my fucking god!
Okay,
Oh,
where's
what are you
that
doing,
security
Wash?
override? Come on.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Uh-oh.
Oh, artificial gravity disabled.
Guys,
Great.
This might be a little floaty.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Oh boy. Yo, I want to see a sniper like shot take out all of them in the air. Oh! Do it! Dude, this is so fun! Oh! Oh! Carolina, you're a fucking beast! And she has the plasma pistols. I mean, the plasma rifle. Oh!
Okay. I got it.
Nice!
Oh, man.
Jesus Christ!
Why do cars hate me?
Yeah, it's season 8 reference right there. Yo, superhero landing. Oh my
They know we're
fucking
inside.
god.
Wash, north, secure that hallway.
She got
South,
the
see if you
fucking
can access
grab
the leader's
hammer? Are you
location.
serious?
We don't leave without him. Got it. I'm already on it.
All right.
Give me. Where the hell is CT?
Exactly! She's a fucking traitor! CT, what are you doing? You're gonna get... I think Carolina's gonna catch her in the act. The fucking guy! That's one of the insurrectionists! What the fuck just happened? Is this the third episode? Whoa! That's her armor ability? Yo, Connecticut!
You didn't wait for me to start?
Exactly, you fuck!
I was worried about you. Didn't think you'd be able to get away.
You don't know the half of it.
You've gotta be
They stepped up
fucking
production.
kidding me,
Here.
Carolina needs to find this out.
This ship was captured by the enemy. I'm surprised there's anything left in the databank.
Connie, are you
Not
for
everyone
real
follows
right
protocol.
now?
You should know that better than anyone.
You really think they found another artifact? How could nobody have discovered that when they were processing the wreckage?
Artifact?
And they didn't have what you have.
What
Sir,
is-
we are
what
in
does she
position,
have?
Awaiting your signal.
Hello? What the hell is this? UNSC archives present. Oh, okay. They're going back. Fuck, man. I'm so dead right now. I can barely breathe. Oh my god.
Everyone else working on an
I can see where all their budget's going into the past. Yo, the Puma music.
Damn you, Private Griff! You took out those two soldiers before I could administer my lethal brand of red justice.
Oh
Where's
boy.
Simmons?
I don't know.
Where's
I found
Simmons?
the warthog and he was right behind me.
What the heck? Wow, he's riding with Carolina. Yikes. Oh, no, that's not Carolina. That's Tucker. What am I saying? The armor color's
I
similar.
don't need all that flash. Some of us have respect for the fundamentals.
Hey, what did I tell you?
Hey, he's riding with a
No, you're not allowed
blue.
to use words that have the term fun in them. I'm riding
Holy
with you next
crap.
time. He actually stopped at the train tracks.
That's the law.
We were under fire. Still the law.
Simmons?
Yeah.
Only you could manage to make a high-speed chase boring.
Thank you.
Yikes.
What's that song?
It's a Bolivian orchestral
Oh my
mashup.
god.
Obviously,
Yeah, and he's
you haven't
listening to
heard of it
classical
yet.
music.
Thank God for
What a
that.
gentleman.
I still don't understand. Why did you guys rescue me?
Yeah.
Don't blame us. Blame Mrs. Fussybridge.
Carolina needs you to
but
find the
she is
director.
Miss Fussy Britches. She gets really mad when you say it wrong.
Wanted to
Yikes.
get you out of that memory, what's it? Something about you being the genetified and mental imprint to McCall
Of the director, yeah.
Can somebody translate that? I don't speak Huckleberry. Yeah, the same lady wants to find the director, and since you have all his memories, you might know where he went.
Yeah.
Wow, that actually seemed too correct.
Yeah.
Caboose.
That's
Must have
literally
some
it.
part of that.
Caboose is leveling up.
Yeah,
Don't
we
disrespect
find
him.
it. We're good to throw him a very big surprise party. There we go.
Sure.
With a bullet to his brain,
Surprise
apparently.
party means shooting him in the face and then
Yep.
walking away in slow motion.
Surprise! Well, I hate to break it to you, but I don't know how much help I'm going to be. I mean,
Yeah,
I may
he
have
doesn't
the director's
remember.
memories, but that doesn't mean I remember them. Yeah, I have the same problem. I barely
Do you have to
remember
unlock
any
the
of my own
memories?
And none of anyone else's.
Well, you better
Yeah.
start remembering, Blue. I had to watch Griff nearly die 3 times today. My fate was laughing at me. Why don't you just take him already?
I gotta
Why
say,
won't you just kill
I'm
me?
surprised to see you taking orders from a Blue.
Wow.
Under duress.
What, you didn't want to come?
Under duress.
Say you seem to know a lot of women with quick tempers.
Oh boy.
Fetish or something?
I
I
mean,
guess you could say yes.
technically Tex, Carolina.
No.
No.
Want to talk about it with No.
Okay, everyone load up. Now
Oh
points
my
are in your
God.
HUDs. Alternate navs uploaded to your secondary objectives. Sync.
This
Sync.
this is not your team, Carolina.
Everyone
Relax.
just say sync whenever she says that. Oh.
Oh boy.
Refrigerator.
You guys not used to getting orders?
Oh, we're used to getting them all right.
They're not-
We just aren't used to doing much with them.
Yeah,
We're
they're
retreating.
slackers in every sense of the word.
That's usually step 1 in most of our plans. Sync.
Easy bake oven.
Let's just go.
Please. Connie, what are you doing to
What
us?
do you mean the leader's not here? Exactly what I said. His last check-in is upstairs in the main deck, but his call sign just appeared in their internal frequencies. He's broadcasting from out in Bone Valley, meaning he's not here. Gee, you're starting to sound like a broken record.
Wow.
Fine. Change of plans, everyone.
Relax, you two.
We're heading into the junkyard.
Where's CT? I can't believe she literally just went AWOL. Okay. Hey, York! Nice! You made it!
Out there.
Let's go, people.
Hey,
What?
jetpack height!
Welcome back. All right, welcome back.
Hey, these two getting along. I love it.
Hurry.
Found the leader. He's hiding out in Bone Valley.
We're going all the way over there.
Interesting.
After what happened to Georgia?
Would someone please tell me
What happened to Georgia?
Dude, you do not want to know.
Georgia, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to you.
I really do, though.
I do too. Trust me, Wash. What happened to Georgia? Did she get like?
Time to get out of here.
I don't know. Uh-oh.
You too.
I can't. Not yet.
If they weren't onto you before, they definitely will be now.
Yeah.
Come with us, Connie. I'm not gonna lose you over this.
Oh my God! Is that like her lover or something?
All forces, we are go. I repeat, we are go.
Wait, is she going with them? Is she literally going AWOL? Is she gonna join the insurrectionists? Oh my God, I haven't seen this in so long. O'Malley's base? Holy shit. This is so blast from the past. Wait, what episode is this?
What's going on?
This is the last
Why are we
one.
stopping?
We've been driving for hours.
And we've got a lot more ground to cover.
Holy
Let's
shit.
move it.
Listen, lady. I know this is your first road trip with us, but we've got a
You
system,
don't know who
and
Griff
that
is.
system includes
I don't do
snack
work.
breaks, bathroom breaks, and stopping to take pictures of funny road signs.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Not as ridiculous as Bonner Street.
Oh, I remember that.
So close. It's out there, Simmons. We just have to have faith that we'll find her. I should probably go stop her from killing your friend.
Oh boy.
Tucker,
Whoa, I can't believe there's still two freelancers working together in present day.
Got a girl ratio
Working
of people
together.
5 years ago. No, Tucker. Yeah, we forgot to bring church. Wait, did
What?
you just now realize that church
What?
is here? He's not gonna be pleased about this one.
What the heck?
Calm down, moron. We
Where
didn't
is
leave him
he?
behind. Yes, but you see, I am not seeing him, so where is he?
So he's not here. Whoa, what?
Church!
What the hell?
You're so small.
Is he in the...
I would like to feed you a small cracker.
How do you like the new place, Tinkerbell?
You mean your disgusting storage unit?
Oh my God, he's in his
It's
bed!
disgusting. Well, for starters, I had to delete 50 gigs worth of crap just so I could fit in it.
Oh my
Oh,
God!
dude.
He's in his
You
memory
look at
unit!
my,
Or like his,
movies,
storage
photos,
unit.
That brings me to my second point.
It's like, that's...
What a
It's
bunch
like
of work.
Tucker has an AI now.
Yeah, they're idiots, but
They're my
not
idiots.
that bad once you get to know them.
Yeah.
You know, we almost managed to trap the meta the last time we were here.
Yep.
But
Oh.
you didn't.
Oh no. Don't bring that up.
I guess not.
Holy shit. Yeah, they're gonna have a lot of ground to cover. It's been a while. The metal recycling station. It's a hot button right now.
I don't get it. Everything's stopped.
Maybe they're retreating. Nothing left out here but a bunch of junk.
Oh, I don't like the music. I'm getting nervous. This is like a ghost town. Or a scrap town.
479er. I've lost visual on targets. It's like they all just left.
They're off the grid?
Sir, their outpost is disabled, and it looks as if we have driven off the remaining fighters.
Well, good riddance to bad rubbish, Counselor.
Huh?
Indeed, sir. All enemy systems
Oh my
appear to
God,
be
this
offline.
animation looks fucking amazing. What? What?
Is it?
Is there something out there? Oh, shit! Staff of Kara Industries!
It's a trap. They're hiding in the junkyard. Repeat, it's a trap.
Oh, the people you fucking robbed!
Fire.
Firing main cannons! Oh my God!
Son of a bitch!
Holy shit, son of a bitch quote! Then they have no freelancers to protect them!
No!
Fuck.
away, sir. New course laid in. Are you sure you don't want to stay and finish this? I left our guests a present.
What the oh my god! Get out, get out, get out! That's gonna fucking a nuke!
Fall back, counselor.
Falling back.
Please, hurry up! Wait, what about the freelancers? Dude, I'm so fucking stressed right now! Oh. Are they just gonna are they gonna say that, like, CT died then?
Wash, what are you doing? Get in here, use your jetpack.
I don't want to end up like Georgia.
Oh my god, get in there then! Oh my god, Washington! You are such a klutz back in the day. Thank you! Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out! GG. Fuck, man!
Everyone okay back there?
Never better.
What a
Thanks for
mission.
asking.
What the hell just happened?
What a
Tell
mission.
me you accomplished your mission.
Negative, sir.
No.
Their leader escaped.
Well, looks like the enemy lives to fight another day.
Fuck!
Again.
That is most unfortunate. Are all agents accounted for?
No, CT!
All except CT, sir. She's gone.
Define gone, agent.
Missing. 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 Fuck! They never find out she's the traitor. But then how the fuck did she come back in the desert? And how the fuck did 23 minutes go by like that? Oh my god, man. If all the episodes are like that, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. I'm like sweating right now. Holy shit. York and Delta have an AI. I think they mentioned Carolina has an AI. They went on this massive mission. Freaking South and CT were aboard. Animation looks phenomenal. Action sequences look great. We're slowly but surely getting a little bit more relevant, up to speed with Carolina, Wash, the director, breaking the ice with the Reds and Blues. Holy shit, dude. Oh my god. I feel like I just fangasmed the whole time because it was just non-stop scrapyard action. And then it comes down when we go into the present. And then it picks up again when we go into the past. Oh my god. And that's batch 1. That's fucking batch 1. Holy shit. So the insurrectionists are from Charon Industries. Because they had the cups, Charon Industries, in the cryogenics research facility that they stole the data files that then told them about the sarcophagus. So was Charon Industries also trying to make AI, or did they steal their tech and do it? Did the director and the freelancer steal their tech and do it before? And they said that they're the bad guys. Like that one guy that was like watching sports instead of doing his job. Also, the synergy between York and Delta was very, very different than it is now. Like, and then his mission failed and he was still like tempted to do it, even though Delta was like, you're gonna get in trouble and shit's about to happen, but you're not listening, so I'm just gonna stop telling you. Oh my god, there's so much to talk about. The animation looks fantastic, dude. The fucking gravity hammer. The zero gravity hammer scene was so sick. The animation just looks real. Like, you can tell where all of the budget this season is going so far. It's going to the director and the counselor and the freelancers and the insurrectionists and all that freaking scrapyard crazy action. I think we got 2 new Jeff Williams songs with Lamar Hall for one of them. The intro was so cool too. Like, them like flying out into space, like blowing a hole in the ship. Oh my god. There's so much I need to talk about. There's so much I need to break down and discuss for this batch. Breaking the ice of season 10. It looks like I said, I've been sweating this entire freaking reaction. I think most of it's due to the fact that I'm just overwhelmed by everything. And like, I was super nervous at the start and I'm trying to get all of it out. I think my voice is kind of going too. Hopefully the reaction was enjoyable for those of you who watched it, but oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed by this season and the first 4 episodes, and we have like 12 episodes left. We still have batches upon batches upon batches. What happens with CT? Did they say she's dead? Did they say she's missing? Do they figure out that she joins Charon Industries for the future? You know, what was their objective? What were they trying to apprehend that leader? Were they trying to kill that leader? Like, what was their... Obviously, I have to go back and rewatch because I feel like I missed a bit of things, but holy shit, dude. I need a minute. Oh my God, that was overwhelming. The Reds and the Blues are still their same cool selves, and Carolina moves in and they're like, look, lady, I don't know who you think you are, but you clearly haven't met the Blood Gulch crew. I love it. They're breaking the ice. I hope she warms up to them. I really hope she does, the same way that Washington did. Maybe it's going to be tougher for her because she's had probably a rougher past than everybody else, and they're looking for the present day director. I don't know how or when they're going to get there, but fuck. All right. With all that said, review time. Hey, so welcome to the review portion of my reaction for Red vs. Blue Season 10, Episodes 1 through 4. This was a fantastic fucking batch. At this point, as you guys are seeing, I have since rewatched the episode. I've done a lot of homework, a lot of fucking research. I think this batch of episodes for Season 10, 1, 2, 3, and 4, had me doing more information seeking and more research going back. I had to go back and watch episodes of Seasons 9, 8, and 7, as far back as Season 7, to kind of put my thoughts, theories, speculations, and theory crafting points into perspective for you guys, so you guys have context, so I can get all my points across and all that stuff. There's a lot of fucking shit to talk about, guys. All right, and let me give you guys an example of that. So, these are my notes. I do homework all the time for Red vs. Blue. We have 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, 4.5 pages, 5 pages, 5.5 pages. Mind you, this last page here, I don't know if you guys can see it clearly, is all about CT. This page is dedicated just to CT. I was gonna do an entire video just dedicated on this page alone because I don't know how long this video is going to be. 5.5 pages on 4 episodes. I know at this point, it probably sounds redundant for me to say because I want to just kind of get this off my chest before we jump in because there's a lot of shit to talk about. You know, I know most people can easily just skip to the reaction, or at this point, this format's changed around a bit. My reactions are now mostly at the beginning of these long-winded videos. But for those of you who do kind of stick through, or rather the more dedicated viewers of Red vs. Blue, my videos in particular, who enjoy hearing my thoughts, my theories, my speculations, my theory craftings, my ramblings, or anything like that, I try to keep it as concise as possible with actually having notes now. But I just hope you guys enjoy these. I would never want to like make these videos and make them as in-depth as possible or as long as possible based on what I have to talk about and just it falls on deaf ears. I know a lot of you guys do invest in it and I really do appreciate listening and reading a lot of your comments. For the last batch that I did, not even the last batch, for the review that I did for Season 9, I was actually just surprised that people watch that because that's like an hour review. You know, it's an hour of a review for the season as a whole. And there were a lot of people who related to my thoughts of Season 9, the good things, the bad things, what I loved, what I enjoyed, what I'm looking forward to for Season 10. And, you know, I feel like these discussions are only going to get longer. I know Season 9's reviews were like, each episode was spanning at least an hour long. I think my heist mission, like the entire sequence that I did of the heist, that is my longest RVB video. That's an hour and 40 minutes, almost 2 hours. And I have a feeling based on how I'm starting right now and everything that I'm going to talk about throughout all these pages, this might be an over 2 hour video. So I don't know how you guys decide to digest this. I don't know if there are those of you who literally sit and watch me for 2 whole hours talk and ramble. If you guys use this as some sort of like a podcast, if you guys listen to it while you're doing homework or chores or throughout your day, if you guys listen, bits and pieces throughout the week. But I just hope you guys enjoy these. I love talking about this show. I love how much I'm invested to the point where I'm like pen to the paper week in and week out, 6 pages. Like, I feel like this whole notebook is going to be filled by the time I'm caught up to RVB. But ultimately, like I said, I just hope you guys enjoyed it. This batch was fantastic. Episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, Revenants, Heavy Metal, Follow the Leader, and Turbulence. So right off the bat, I noticed that they don't put the title of the episode in the episode when like the episode is starting out. I think they've done that for every other episode of RVB, unless I missed it during this batch, but I don't think I noticed it. I actually had to go to the YouTube channel, the RVB YouTube channel, and find the names of these titles for these episodes. So Revenant, Heavy Metal, Follow the Leader, and Turbulence, the first 4 episodes. Right off the bat, and I'm going to be very bold for saying this because we're only 4 episodes in, but I think the dynamic of the first 4 episodes was better than the entire dynamic of season 9. And it's incredibly bold to say, I admit, but what I mean by that is this episode gave me what I wanted season 9 to be in its entirety. And I mentioned this in my season 9 review. I said, I think season 10 is what this whole Project Freelancer thing should have been from the beginning, which is the past colliding with the present. Project Freelancer colliding with Carolina, with Washington, with the director, with Epsilon, with the Reds and the Blues in this, this new objective to track down the present day director, his whereabouts and stuff like that, and making the past just as interesting as the future. Whereas season 9, I only cared about the past. I only cared about Project Freelancer. I didn't care about the capture unit. I didn't care about these fake characters. I didn't care about this filler. And it really took me from the experience. It took me out of the immersion. It took me out of the flow that Project Freelancer was giving me so much. And I will say it right now. I love getting the present in these batches that I've seen just as much as the Project Freelancer stuff. I love seeing Epsilon interact with present-day Carolina. I love seeing that Carolina and Wash are having a bit of moments here and there to break the ice, to get reacquainted after all of these years, and hopefully they do more of that, of like talking about the past, since them two seemingly survived and lived through it all. I love the banter. I love the humor and banter right off the fucking bat of Caboose, like basically breaking up with Church and replacing him as a coping mechanism with Washington, giving him Church's name, his armor, his position. I love that shit, and I take that to heart so much because these are the characters that I care about. This Caboose, this Sarge, this Epsilon. None of that freaking capture unit nonsense that just was padding for the season. And I understand it was a different time back then. I don't want to rip into season 9 more than I already did, but 4 episodes in, I'm already loving it more than I did for what I took away from season 9, which was only Project Freelancer stuff. And then on top of that, the Project Freelancer stuff in here has me so intrigued because it seems like there's so much more going on beyond what we knew about Project Freelancer. The freelancers, the director, the AI. That's the extent of me and my knowledge of Project Freelancer, but it seems like even though they have the alpha, even though they're splicing these AI like Delta, and I'm pretty sure the other ones are going to be coming down the pipeline soon, even though they're doing all this stuff, it still seems like Project Freelancer is still going. There's still more going on, and I'm just wondering, like, what more is there? So, again, like, I just love the fact that the present is just as relevant, if not more relevant than the past. And that's what I'm clinging to, and that's what I'm loving so much. The humor and comedy is intact. Caboose's quick wit, even though he's like the lovable idiot, he's still like big brain, and he's like super smart about breaking down who Epsilon is, what he is. He's the computerized, digitized, genetic information of the direct, like, just shit like that I love. I love how Sarge is, despite the fact that he had this whole speech in previous seasons of helping the Blues, and, you know, Tucker even, Reds and Blues are the same, after all of that, after all of the camaraderie that they've had with the Blues, he still goes out of his way to, like, kick them while they're down, or mentions how much he wants to kill them, or still wanting Griff to kind of have an accident and be dead, and, you know, be done and over with him. I love that. These are the characters that I've grown to love over the last 3 years as I'm catching up, and that's what that's what I love the most about this show, and I love that it's real now. It's not a play on Epsilon and the capture unit and this kind of like fairy tale fake stuff that didn't matter. You know, and it just, I guess it resonates even harder with me because these are the real characters and we're back in the action and we're back into everything. Animation and music also, I want to give an extra special shout out to the animation because it looks like the animation of like Project Freelancer, like the high production animation, you guys know, like the Project Freelancer stuff primarily. That shit looks so far from Halo, it's fantastic. It really looks like the animation is coming into its own style. I know that they're still utilizing the engine of Halo, I think at this point Halo Reach. All of that shit looks great, but I really feel like when you look at the armor, for example, or when you look at the soldier models, or when you look at the counselor, for example, it looks like it's in its own universe, detached from anything that could be resembled as Spartans, you know, Master Chief and Halo as a whole. And I love that. I love that Red versus Blue reached that point. I don't know if it kind of continues that as the series goes on with whatever, you know, they're doing now with the Shizno paradox and maybe season 18 or whatever, but I just wanted to give a shout out to that. Just Jeff and Lamar are back on point. We got 2 new songs from this batch, which was really exciting. I was not looking forward to that at all. But yeah, as a whole, like before jumping into it, just giving my initial thoughts before we get into the first episode. I love that these are the real characters that I've gotten to know, that we've all gotten to know and bond over the last, you know, over however long we've all been watching RVB, myself 3 years. Relevant past, relevant present, forwarding of the plot overall with Carolina and Epsilon looking for the director. The humor is intact, the comedy is intact, and it's kind of it's a blend of both. It's the best of both worlds. We're getting this deep, complex storyline of the director, his ambitions, his goals, his project, his freelancers, his necessity, and we're getting what we've always gotten. We've gotten red and blue banter with a lot of bigger than life concepts put in there. You know, with Washington, with Carolina, with Wyoming, with the meta, with North and South and all this other stuff, like the mini series, and now where we are now with hopefully getting to see the present day director by the end of it. So overall, I think these 4 episodes have outshined season 9 as a whole. I know that's, again, very bold to say, but I'm just going to say it right now because that's how I genuinely feel. So, we're going to jump into discussing these episodes, and it's going to be very different for me because season 9 was very easy for me. It was like all I cared about was Project Freelancer, so all I talked about was Project Freelancer. This time around, the present is just as relevant as the past, and I don't want to, like, couple everything and be like, okay, I'm only going to talk about Project Freelancer stuff, and then I'm only going to talk about present day stuff. So I'm going to take this discussion at an episode by episode basis. So I'm going to talk about the past and the present of episode 1, then the past and the present of episode 2, and so on and so forth, and then I'll give my final thoughts at the end. It might be a little jumbled. My notes are going to help me through for the most part, so I do hope you guys look forward to it. But anyways, first thing I want to talk about, and this was something that was one of my expectations when I did my season 9 review, was the freelancer and AI dynamic. So season 9 was mainly freelancer to freelancer dynamic, seeing who got along with each other, who didn't get along with each other, seeing the banter and the camaraderie and the teamwork between all of the freelancers, North, South, Maine, Wyoming, Carolina, CT, for better or for worse. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to see how these characters interacted with each other, and it seems like we're even going to get that now in the present, because at the very least, Wash and Carolina are still alive. So that was my biggest thing going into season 9. What I didn't know going into season 9 was that the AI weren't going to be a part of that until the second half. And so my expectations for this season was I want to see freelancer and AI dynamic now. I know who likes who doesn't like who. I know the dynamic of the freelancers enough to get a good idea of how they would act, you know, off screen or anything like that. How does York and Delta's relationship start? How does Wash and Epsilon, Tex and Omega, Theta and North, and, you know, any of the other AI that got paired with their with their teammates. And we got to see that right off the bat. The lock picking scene is such an immense scene if you pay attention. I watched it for the first time and I was blown away by like, oh my god, Delta's back! Oh my gosh, York! Oh my god, they're getting along, they're talking, they're picking locks, that's what he was doing in Out of Mind. And then I went back and watched it. And my mind was fucking blown for multiple reasons. So number one, York and Delta's interaction seemed a little rocky in this moment. It seems like obviously York isn't the greatest, the perfect locksmith or the lock picker or the infiltrator, if you will, with the holographic lock. Delta was kind of getting on him on that. He's like, I've never seen you pick a lock in the field. I agree with the director. We should get out of here. You don't know what you're doing. And it seems like they have a bit of a rocky relationship. I like the fact that enough time has passed where York is already calling Delta D. Like, basically giving him a nickname. So I feel like their relationship is close enough. Another thing that I liked was that York mentioned, he was like, oh, you've been talking to Wash again, haven't you? Which was another expectation that I wanted to at least get some knowledge on, which was, do freelancers interact with AI other than their own? And do AI interact with other freelancers other than their designated one? So it's confirmed that Delta does interact with Wash. Wash interacts with Delta. And I don't know if we'll see that on a grander scope beyond that one line right there that York made. But nonetheless, it was something that I was expecting and that I got that I was really happy about. One more thing before I get into that first scene in particular. And I've never talked about this actually. And it's weird too, because I've talked about the freelancers ad nauseum. I've talked about the AI ad nauseum, and I've never talked about AI behavior and mannerisms. And what I mean by that is, in this episode, we got to see Delta kind of interact in the field to that random dude that was slacking off, watching, Griff Ball instead of doing his job. And he is the logic of the alpha, right? He is the embodiment of logic, rationale, critical thinking, and all that proper stuff, all that formal jazz. And he was applying that exact basis of his identity to this guy. He was presenting him with the logic of like, look, there's no need for name calling. You guys are your own group. We're our own group. We're just two different groups achieving different results. You're not good or bad for what you do. I'm not good or bad for what I do. And we just have different opinions. We have different values. And that logic is Delta. That's what makes him Delta. And I think pairing these AI with their freelancer counterparts allows them to learn something from one another, right? It allows Delta to be a little bit more compassionate and emotional, especially in Out of Mind when York was dying. And it kind of led me to understand, or led me to think, what do the other AI act like? Like, how do the other AI behave based on what they are from the alpha? So I kind of went down this list here. So Epsilon acts just like the alpha. He's he's basically the copy of the alpha's memory. So he acts exactly like the truly constructed alpha AI. Sounds just like him initially when you first get to know him, and everything else like that. Delta behaves with logic and rationale, like I just mentioned. Omega. Does Omega just run around screaming all day, oblivion is at hand, and all this other stuff about, does he just like rage and have temper tantrums all day, even though he gets paired with Tex? And I know it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me to understand Omega as a single entity, because he's either paired with Tex, or he's paired with Doc, or he jumps to someone else's mind. So it's hard for me to kind of understand Omega as his own unit instead of him being personified through somebody else. So that's one thing I was thinking. Does Gamma play tricks? Does he tell jokes? Does he lie? Is he deceptive? Does he have a condescending attitude in the same way that we discover him as Gary, back during seasons 4, seasons 5? I'm just wondering that. Theta, and then the two other AI that I don't know about that Carolina got, I'm wondering how they behave. My one theory on one of the two AI that Carolina got was fear. So for example, if that turns out to be true, is that AI like afraid of its own shadow? Does that AI have like cowardice? Is it afraid of anything? Is it afraid of living, of change, of progress, of making friends, of talking to people? You know what I mean? And even like there are other AI too that I don't know if we ever discover, because I don't know how many AI it got to before the project was pulled. Because Tex also mentioned that when she was going through the whole process of getting Omega, and then she mentions like they wanted to destroy Omega, but some of the AI didn't want to be destroyed, and they realized the only way to destroy Omega was to kill me, so then I had to fight back. They mentioned that there were some AI that got deleted. So are there some AI that were part of Alpha that we just never saw, that just got destroyed, that weren't paired with any of the freelancers that we know now? That's another thing that I was thinking. But yeah, just overall, I would just like to know how some of these AI think, how some of these AI behave, how some of these AI talk on their own, not paired with anybody, or just what's on their mind. You know, I think for the most part, like, we know who Epsilon is, we know who Omega is, we know who Delta is, but Sigma, Theta, these other two AI, like, what are they like? How do they behave? How do they think? You know, and like that whole thing with Sigma, the theory that I had with Sigma, like, was Sigma a part of the meta's construct? That's another thing too. Really quick, I'm gonna go off the deep end here. Not off the deep end, but just say something to you guys right now. For those of you who are listening, please inform me, please let me know. It's the whole reason why I'm doing these videos. So, these were only given to me by Patreon-only comments. So the people who told me this were on Patreon. So it was the people who were early access, who got this episode before it went out to YouTube, and I read these comments first and foremost. I don't want to say it's a spoiler because I know you guys are trying to give me full context, but if you guys tell me something that the show will eventually tell me, I consider that a spoiler, and I consider that a no-go when it comes to commenting in the chat. And I say that because in season 6, Washington tells like the Reds and Blues and Church at the time that Sigma is the creativity of the Alpha.
Delta was Alpha's logic. When the anger came and threatened to take over, it split that off too. That was Omega, its rage. Gamma was its deceit. Sigma was its creativity. And Epsilon was its memories. And memory is the key.
He never says anything about ambition. And I mentioned that. I don't think anyone in this show up until this point has ever said in the show that Sigma is creativity and ambition. So a bunch of you guys told me that. And I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know that at all. I thought it was just one. So I would only accept that if the show never tells you. Like, for example, if you guys found out that Sigma was creativity and ambition from, say, the Red versus Blue fan guide. I have it somewhere in my room. I haven't read it yet. I was told not to read it until season 13, which I'm gonna adhere to. So, for example, if it's never said in the show, but they express in the RVB fan guide, hey, it's ambition, I'll allow that. But, like, if I continue watching this and they say, he's the ambition and he's the creativity of the Alpha AI, I'm going to be a little annoyed. That's all. That's all I wanted to mention, because I was like, what, ambition? They never said that. Unless they say that down the road, and if case they do, then why are people telling me before it's happening? So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I did put here Sigma, creativity, and ambition, because Wash only says creativity. I don't know if it's left out that it's ambition, or if as you discover, or maybe we get more insight of Sigma because we are in Project Freelancer and we have to find out what AI gets him, and if he is a part of the meta's construct because it's creativity. Because that is kind of creative, and it's a bit ambitious to be like, hey, let's form all of ourselves together and go look for our original self. That's kind of ambitious. So, I don't know. That's the only thing that I wanted to mention, because I was told that before I was told it in the show, and that does get a little on my nerves. But again, for example, if it's never stated in the show, if it's stated in the book, I'm fine by that, because I don't want to wait until I finish the series and then read the book and I'm like, what the hell? Why wouldn't they say that on the show? So I'm not giving you free reign to spoil me on anything that's in the book, because I will eventually read the book and talk about it on video as well. I just wanted to address that and make that known, because it was brought to my attention. But from there, this entire, like, holographic lock scene was probably one of my favorite scenes in all of Red vs. Blue for the references, for the callbacks, and for the amount of investment that is a payoff if you've been following it for this long and if you've been paying like super extra close attention to this degree. I wrote here, Delta complements and improves York's quality of life. Now, when York first lost his eye, I said to myself, I was like, is that why he gets Delta? Does Delta help him out because of his lost eyesight? That might be the case, but I think it's more so to sharpen the skills that York already has. I assume he's a good fighter. He's a team player. He has great leadership skills. He's the infiltrator. He's lockpicking. He has lockpicking duty. He knows how to pick a lock. And he's just an overall great package of a freelancer and of a person, you know what I mean? Like, I really feel like he's nice. He gets along with Wash. He gets along with North. And he just tries to be an overall great guy. And he's probably going to become probably like my favorite freelancer by the end of it. But there's one moment that happens that sets everything into motion for me, where I'm actually, because of this scene, I went back to season 8. I went back, and then from that, this entire batch of episodes had me going back to other seasons to like reinforce like what is set up in these moments here. But it's great foreshadowing. It's great retrospective references to what we've already seen in the past. But basically, Delta mentions this here.
I agree with the director. I have yet to see you successfully open a lock in the field, and this alarm will only hamper your progress.
And then I was like, wait a minute, I gotta go back to season 9, because season 9 was the first time that we saw one of those holographic locks. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that York busted that lock open to get them into that room with all the alien tech, which is where Maine ended up getting the brute shot as his signature weapon. So I went back and I watched that scene.
How long to crack that lock?
Should take about 60 seconds. You can give me 15. Wow, is that holographic? That's high-end.
Can you get through it?
Of course I can. You didn't bring me along for my good looks, did you? Whoever designed this is a genius.
You were saying?
Okay, I take it back. Whoever designed this is an asshole. There. Everybody in.
Thanks, York. But do something about that alarm system. We don't need any more surprises.
And it was at that point that my mind fucking exploded, because there's a reason the director is giving these freelancers specific AI. York is great at almost anything that he does, but he has a bad rap at like doing his job perfectly. Like, he's a good lockpicker, but he's not the best lockpicker. So let's give him someone to sharpen those skills. Let's give him Delta. Why? Because Delta covers his ass.
I have detected an anomaly inside of the system. Something that is not supposed to be there. Diverting subroutines to investigate.
Don't get too curious in there. I need your attention on this lock.
Do not worry, Agent York. I have already rectified several instances where you would have tripped the alarm system.
So again, I just think the lockpicking scene was really well done at subtly giving us references of, because this is retroactive, right? Like, we already know what they're like in the future, but now we're getting the origins of them in the past, which then complements what we've seen of them in their miniseries, like Out of Mind, or in like previously with the sarcophagus mission. You have York, who's this great lockpicker, but he has trouble unlocking the holographic locks, and then when he does, he trips the alarm. So let's give him Delta. Let's give him someone who can go in the back way, bypass all of the security, prevent any of the security alarms from being tripped, and it kind of makes York look good, because York can get his job done. He just needs a little assistance. And I think that was done beautifully. I think that was done perfectly, and it made it even more of an enriching experience for me, because it forced me to go back to sarcophagus and the son of a bitch episode where those moments actually happened. So again, I give props to that more than anything, based on the amount of like subtlety with the foreshadowing and things of that nature. I really liked it. It was very rewarding for me, especially because all of these notes are actually paying off for me now that I've been following the show for so long. The last thing that I'll mention here, which was brought up, was that the lockpick that he was trying to get into, he didn't end up getting to open it because there was a remote, an alarm triggered from a remote location. That lock was going to lead to the leader's hangar door, which was the whole point of the mission. They were there to apprehend the insurrectionist leader that was there, but an alarm was triggered from a remote location. I don't know if that was triggered remotely by the leader or by CT. Because now we know CT is a full-blown traitor. Maybe she was on the ship with them and she was like, we're getting close to the drop-off point. Let me hit this button that I have hidden away and, you know, sound the alarm so that way everybody knows when to expect us. Because essentially she's helping the enemy of Project Freelancer, and Project Freelancer, I guess, is secretly her enemy because she's playing as this double agent. But I'll get to her because I have an entire page dedicated to her. So that was the entire sequence of basically the intro. The fucking wall blows out, we hear Lamar Hall singing, and it was such a cool intro. I think that's the coolest intro to a season. You know, getting blown into the vacuums of space. You have the music, the letters all forming. Rip to that guy who was just watching freaking YouTube videos or just watching videos online instead of doing his job. I was also told that the song playing by Lamar Hall was called Terminate, and that's probably my most anticipated song for the Season 10 soundtrack. And similar to what I did with the Season 9 soundtrack, I will be doing a reaction to Season 10. They play another song during the Hangar Bay fight with the anti-gravity. I believe that song is called Terrify, and it's by Jeff Williams. I don't know if Casey's on that track, but I know Jeff's on it. So they have Terrify and Terminate as the two. Look at that alliteration. Terrify and Terminate as the two songs for this batch that I watched, which is kind of cool. So Lamar Hall's back. That's the song I'm looking forward to most. You guys already know I'm a big Lamar Hall fan. Love the fact that I feel like that's like a dedicated song for him, which is pretty dope. So yeah, the first episode, at least for the past, was really exciting. And then present is basically what I mentioned before, picks up exactly where Season 9 left off. Carolina finally finding out where Epsilon is, wanting his help, and finding out where the director is to kind of kill him. And I don't know what vendetta she has. Maybe she's been scorned all these years and she feels like he ruined everything. He ruined my life. He ruined my friends' lives. People have gotten killed because of him. These AI got destroyed because of him. It's time for me to take him out. And she's number one. Like, what the fuck's he gonna do against the number one? Nothing. And, you know, he doesn't have his precious text to protect him because she's gone as well. So I mentioned basically what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. The humor and banter commences immediately with Caboose, with Sarge, with Epsilon, or Church now as he's calling himself, which I really love that. Sarge's insistence on continuing to kill the Reds, on continuing to kill the Blues, killing a Red being Griff. Which is pretty funny. Caboose using Watch as a coping mechanism. I thought that was really special. Just based on the fact that, like, even Caboose said, he was like, Church said, he was like, if I'm gone, it's your job to remember me. And, you know, Caboose, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he forgets just based on his wayward memories. So, you know, and memory is the key. So he basically took Wash, gave him Church's armor, gave him Church's name, gave him Church's position, and was like, all right, you're my Church from now on because he's my best friend and I can't live without him. So I don't know, I felt that, you know what I mean? Like, and then especially when you hear like, Church, you're my best friend, like the best friend song was fantastic as well. I love Caboose. I just want the world for him. Wash becomes a Blue, basically starts his new life as a member of Reds and Blues, especially after the crazy life that he's had in Project Freelance. I thought that was really great to see him getting a bit of redemption at this point. And one thing that I will say, basically kind of wrapping up how the first episode was as a whole, is Season 9 did a great job at giving Epsilon definition. Like, giving him the ability to define himself. Because how Season 9 starts...
Hi, my name is Leonard Church, but nobody calls me Leonard. Most people call me Church. Sometimes they call me Alpha, and a few people even know me as the director, but I haven't been called that in a really, really long time.
It starts with a bit of like watching that scene now, it seems like he has a bit of an identity crisis. He's like, my name is Church, but my name is also Epsilon, but my name is also Leonard, but my name's also the director. And there's like, it's like, well, who are you? You know, at this point in time, you get to define that. No one else gets to define that for you. And I love how he comes out of the capture unit and he's like, stop calling me Epsilon. My name is Church. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway of Season 9. It gave Epsilon a sense of self now. Now he knows who he is. Now he knows what he wants. And, you know, I appreciated that more than anything. You know, at the very end, the caps unit wasn't just for hunky-dory nonsense. It wasn't just for, the text resolution. It wasn't just for the recursion cycle, but ultimately it was for characterizing an important character moving forward, which was Epsilon. So I like that. I like how he decided to go with Church. My Churchism poster lives another day. So, Church lives, Church survives. It's a different Church, but it's still the one that I know and love. And yeah, I just love how he came out and he was like, my name's Church now. You gotta start calling me that. So there's that. The last thing that I'll say before we jump to the second episode, and I do apologize if this format is like all over the fucking place. I do apologize. But is Donut coming back this season? Because it's been so fucking long. This man died, air quotes, died in season 7. He got shot by he got shot by Washington when he teamed up with the Meta to get Epsilon. And he's been dead since the end of season 7. Like the last episode of season 7, he got shot. Season 8 comes and goes. Season 9 comes and goes. Season 10, first 4 episodes, we got nothing. We need to see my boy. I don't know. I miss Donut. I remember during the fight with Tex versus Wash in the Meta, and you see Doc, he's like, hey, Wash, over here, and he throws the thing. I'm like, oh my god, Donut. And it's like, no, that's Doc, but I'm thinking about Donut because I missed him so much. Oh, are you helping? Oh my gosh, Donut! Not Donut, sorry, Doc.
You've got to be kidding me.
And he sucks. I miss Donut so much. I think that's why I said Donut. He's the only one that's not here. Him and Lopez. So yeah, that's basically the last thing that I wanted to brush up on for the first episode. Will Donut return this season? If he does, when? Probably when they go back to Valhalla, because for those of you who haven't seen this scene, I put it in my reaction video, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys have already seen it, but if you haven't, this is the scene I'm referring to where Donut is actually alive. Tucker, run!
How are you feeling?
Better now. What the fuck?
Oh man,
right.
Just got laid out.
I forgot to mention one thing.
Yeah.
Ending recovery mode.
Oh!
All units.
This is new! I didn't see this!
Ending recovery mode. All units. Ending recovery mode. All units.
Oh! Oh! Oh, it's Donut!
Ending
recovery mode!
All
He's
units.
in recovery! Woo!
Ending recovery mode.
Oh
All
my
units.
god, why would they take this out?
Ending recovery mode. All units.
Oh. Alright, so now I'm going to get into my episode 2 thoughts. And the first one I want to talk about is the location. So in episode 2, or rather, like the whole operation of this batch was for the UNSC scrap metal recycling station. I don't know if this is a unique location to Red vs. Blue. And what I mean by that is I don't think I've ever seen this location in the Halo games before. And basically every location in Halo, Blood Gulch, Valhalla, Sidewinder, like those are all levels in Halo. Like the Halo assets get redistributed and repurposed to use as animation areas for the Red versus Blue storyline. But I don't know if I've ever seen the UNSC locate like this scrap metal station being used like as that location. Similarly, like the Mother of Invention. I think the Mother of Invention is also a unique location to Red versus Blue. I think, because I started playing Halo with Halo 3, I've dipped a little bit into Halo 1. There is a hangar bay in one of the Halo levels in Halo 1 that I remember, but from Halo 3 and onward, I don't ever remember there being anything even remotely close to a scrap metal recycling station. So this could be like a unique thing that they created from the ground up for Project Freelancer, which I think, again, complements the animation and complements the fact that Red vs. Blue is standing more along the lines of something on its own 2 legs instead of utilizing every little thing and every little asset from Halo. So I really liked that. Location looked really cool, really interesting. Like the fighting was great. Obviously what ended up happening with the ambush and everything, like out in Bone Valley, I think that entire thing was just super cool, very eerie. The music complemented it a lot, especially when they were like all on jetpacks flying out to like find out where the enemy was. So I really like that. One thing I need clarification on, and I will admit I've been confused about this ever since it's come up. I've tried to piece it together and make sense of it, but it's always kind of just like gone over my head. I know there have been some people that have explained it, so if you guys can give me clarification, I would appreciate it. So we have Project Freelancer, right? We have the freelancers, the director, all that stuff. We have the UNSC, which is like the official government of the universe, I assume, or of the world relevant to Red versus Blue. We have UNSC insurrectionists, and we have Charon Industries. Now, in this episode, and in previous episodes, it's been mentioned that there are some members, like, for example, the heist mission. I remember Carolina mentioning...
As you may have heard, there is suspected insurrection activity in this area. Our intel says that members of the UNSC loyal to the insurrection...
So, there are... So, there's like a bunch of green dudes, like guys dressed up in green. I assume those guys are, like, under the UNSC banner. Like, they're UNSC... But there are some of them that are UNSC, and then there are some of them that are, like, secretly, like, I'm UNSC, but I'm rooting for those insurrectionists, right? And then you have the guys decked out in the ODST armor, you know, like, with the black armor with, like, the red stripes. Mainly, like, the shark face guy from the sarcophagus mission, the guy in the Bjorndal cryogenics research facility, the guy was like, attention, assholes. And then this guy in this batch of episodes that was talking to CT. Now, what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is, are the insurrectionists and Charon Industries one and the same? Because there was that Charon Industries ship that showed up. It said Staff of Charon, and they had, I assume, but the guy's an insurrectionist leader. So is he an insurrectionist leader? Are the insurrectionists Charon Industries? Because those same dudes were also, like, the Cups, like, Charon Industries out in the Atlantic, like the cryogenics research facility. Those members were of Charon. I'm just trying to figure out these fucking factions because it's boggling my mind. You got the guys in green, which I assume are UNSC. You got the guys in Spartan. You got the guys in the ODST armor, like with the red stripes. You got them all decked out in different manner, which I assume they're all different ranks. I assume those are insurrectionists. But then where does Charon Industries come into the picture? Because Charon Industries and the insurrectionists seem one and the same. Unless Charon Industries is the umbrella. How am I trying to say this? Like, the insurrectionists are like rebels with a cause, but they don't have any structure. Like, they don't have an establishment, they don't have an organization, they're just these rebel guys that are like rebels, you know what I mean? And they're revolting against the UNSC. And is Charon Industries that for them? Are they a subset of the UNSC, but they're basically siding with a different company, a different corporation? You know, because I mentioned that too when I first heard of Charon Industries in season 9. I was like, so there's Project Freelancer, there's the UNSC, and then there's Charon Industries, and there's a subset of the UNSC that are not happy with the UNSC that are deciding to go elsewhere. Is that right? Am I right in that? Please let me know. I know it's something weird to ramble about, but I'm trying to like make sense of it because in my head I'm like, Staff of Charon, but I thought they were the fucking insurrectionists. Then who are the insurrectionists and how do they relate to Charon Industries? Because it seems like Charon Industries is becoming more and more relevant ever since the Twins episode when they stole the data file. And I'm going to talk about that a lot more in depth when I get to talking about CT since she's like in the weeds with all of them and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to mention because you got the freelancers, you know who they are. They're decked out in their own special own armor. You got the green grunt guys, which are like one thing, like they're branded out in green. You got the ODST guys, and then I'm like, who's Insurrection and who's Charon? I have no idea. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure that out. So for the mission as a whole, and I talked about this at the beginning, right? For as long as I can remember, from the start of Red vs. Blue to where I am now, Project Freelancer has only been a couple of things. It's been the project and ambition of Leonard Church, the director. It has been it's been like the project for the continuity of mankind, featuring freelancers such as Washington, North, South, Maine, York, Washington, and then the AI, Theta, Gamma, Epsilon, Omega, etc., and then all culminating with the Alpha AI. That's Project Freelancer to me, right? That's Project Freelancer to me, even as of right now. But now they're going to this research, they're going to this scrap metal recycling station, and they're trying to apprehend the leader of the insurrection. And my initial thing is, what more could Project Freelancer be after? Like, you got the data file, you got the sarcophagus, you got your AI, you got the means of torturing your AI for more AI, you've already started distributing them to your freelancers. Like, what more could you be doing? Or what more, like, are they just trying to wipe out their enemies now? Are they just trying to wipe out these insurrectionists and Charon Industries, despite the fact that they've killed their soldiers, they've attacked their bases, they've stolen their tech, and they've gotten what they wanted? I wonder if at this point the project is biting off more than it can chew, and now because they're doing that, this is going to be the undoing, the start of the undoing, and the start of the downfall of the project. Because again, like I said, like, what goes beyond here? All I know about Project Freelancers are the freelancers, the director, and the AI, but if they're going after more than that when they already have all the stuff that defines them in my eyes, I'm just thinking, well, what more is there? The only thing I can think of is like, yeah, we want to wipe out our fucking enemies. We want to take out Charon Industries. We want to take out these insurrectionists. And we want to take out these aliens. So I really don't know beyond that. And then even more so, like, what's the insurrectionists' end game? You know? If the insurrectionists had the technology, right? They had the data file. They had the sarcophagus, which I guess was a pivotal point in getting... Again, like I said, I don't know what the sarcophagus is. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what it's used for. I assume it's used to make more AI because the alpha was created before they had it. Now that they have the sarcophagus, now they're making all these AI. And there was that one scene where the guy was like dragging the sarcophagus away after Delta was created. So Charon Industries had all of this tech to splice AI, to make all of these fragments, which, you know, eventually became the AI that we all know now. And I'm thinking, were they trying to do the same thing? Were they trying to get their hands on AI? Were they trying to splice AI? Like, what's the point of having all this tech? And then, you know, in the sarcophagus mission, or the spiral mission, or whatever, that entire sequence, they had all this alien technology. You know, they had the fuel rod cannons, they had the Banshee ships, they had the brute shot, they had the gravity hammer. Like, they have all of this ancient tech, but I don't see any of them using it. And I know that's probably rewards or basically things that they got from their fight with the aliens up until the treaty happens, but I don't know. Like, I'm wondering, like, what do the insurrectionists have to do with the war? What does Charon Industries have to do with the war? And how does this kind of correlate with everything that's happening now? And more importantly, does Charon Industries exist in present day? Because this is all happening in the past. And there are remnants of Project Freelancer in the present, so why wouldn't there be for Charon Industries? And it seems like we're getting Charon Industries, bits and pieces of it now in the past. I'm wondering if they're doing that to set it up for, I don't know, maybe the Chorus trilogy or something like that. Because it wouldn't really make sense to have, you know, bits and pieces of Charon here and there, you know, and their members here and there, and their soldiers here and there, and this whole thing with CT, if it starts and ends in Project Freelancer. So I don't know. And then we have the chairman, oversight subcommittee chairman of the UNSC, who's in the present now, and I don't know what the fuck he's up to. Like, is he, like, officially of the Union? Or, I'm sorry, the Union. Now I'm thinking of fucking Genlock. Is he officially of the UNSC, or is he, like a member of the insurrection UNSC group or what as well? Like, does he have anything to do with Charon Industries in the present day? So, I don't know. Just a lot of unanswered questions with the insurrectionists, with Charon Industries. What more the freelancers and the project freelancers and the director, what the hell could they want more than what they already have? You know, maybe they are getting arrogant. You know, the director is a bit of arrogance, and I don't know if this is going to be their undoing of biting off more than they can chew. So from there, the second episode, I was really shocked by this. I was very shocked to find out that CT and South were going on the same mission, because they're failures in the director's eyes. Why would you put both of them on a mission together? Right? And there's a bit of logic to why things happen in different circumstances to where they're happening now, right? CT, for example. CT, I think, is the definition of failure in the director's eyes. In the director's eyes, not mine. I see value in all of them, and I do feel bad that's literally, it's like a dog-eat-dog world for freelancers. CT is literally a failure in the director's eye. She's never been on that board. At least South has been on the board at least once. CT's never been on that board for as far as I can see. One mission she went on, she came back with Wash, all objectives failed, right? And on the Spiral mission, right, on the sarcophagus hunt, like the heist, she was a part of Group B, who failed their objective. Group A did both jobs. So she was on the failing group as well for the heist mission, and she failed all of her previous objectives when she went on that mission, I guess, with Washington. And South compromised her mission with her brother, right? The twins mission, because she's all about speed running. She's all about time. She's not about like sticking to the code. Put on your motion trackers. Half of that shit wouldn't have happened if you just listened and stuck to the way things were supposed to be and used stealth, right? So she fucked up with that, and then they took her off the mission for the heist altogether because they're like, look, we need stealth, and she's not stealth. She'll do anything to kind of get the spotlight or get attention from the director, and they didn't want her to compromise that. But, you know, at that point, you already have two characters who, in your eyes, screw up any missions that they're a part of, so why would you put them both together? I was most fascinated about that, because right now, I'm really wondering about Maine's condition, personally, after the heist. Got shot in the throat like 10 times. He's never going to be able to talk again, and he got, like, knocked out. He got shot in the chest with a sniper, got knocked off the overpass by that truck, and, like, I'm just wondering, I know he's alive, but, like, how is he doing? But you could have easily sent Wyoming, or even your ace in the hole, Tex, in place of these two guys. You know, especially since it worked out for CT in the end. It's almost like it was, like, destined that he brought her on that mission, because if he didn't bring her on that mission, they probably would have gotten the leader. Half of this shit wouldn't have happened, because CT isn't the traitor wouldn't be in your midst. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was just wondering, like, why would he bring them two in particular? Again, South is a little bit more understandable because there was no need to be stealthy. They kind of, like, went in guns blazing. The only one that really had to be stealthy and get their job done stealthily was York, but someone tripped off an alarm in the distance, and I assume it was either CT in secret, like while she was on the airship and no one noticed, or it was the leader knew they were coming either way because CT was going. So CT probably let him know ahead of time. And the comment, fucking hell, man, the comment.
So much for a smooth ride.
What's the matter? Feeling sick?
Hey, I'm not the one that needed a barf bag on all our family trips.
I hated how, I don't know what snaps with her, man. Like, she seemed so chill. She might have a temper, she might have an attitude, but as of right now, South does not give me any type of vibes that she's gonna fucking kill her own teammates, right? She's like, you know, if we're kicked off the leaderboard, you know, we'll be together. Us girls gotta stick together. And then, like, even, like, in the training simulation, when Tex was training with the three freelancers, like, she was still pretty chill about things. She was still talking to her teammates. She was giving a little sass to Carolina, but I think that's because Carolina's a goody two-shoes. But I don't know. She's talking about their family trips and, like, how she always needed a barf bag, and it's your fucking brother that you eventually kill or set up to get. You basically killed your brother, and I'm just thinking, like, what the fuck is gonna happen that pushes her to that point? Is it when he gets Theta? I assume he doesn't have Theta yet. Maybe Theta is the wedge that drives them apart, and he hasn't gotten Theta yet. There was a mention. Actually, I'm gonna transition to that right now. That's a good transition. Washington says giving up your AI was a big deal. Why the fuck are they getting their AIs already and not showing us? I haven't seen her AIs. They've been talking about her 2 AI since like season 6. And I've been speculating and speculating and speculating. And one of my hopes was that I would get to see them or see how she responds and reacts with having 2 AI in her, or 2 AI like on board in her mind, along with everyone else getting theirs. Delta, York got Delta. I don't know. So the 2 that she got are already created. So Alpha's being tortured even more. Right? I don't know if Sigma's created. I don't know if Omega's created. I don't know if Gary's been created. But the 2 AI that Carolina gets have been created. So 3 AI are in existence right now. And I'm so angry that they gave it to her and took it away from her during what seems to be a time skip. Between when she was talking to the director and she was like, I'll do anything for you, and now. Time has definitely passed. Enough time has passed. Like, York and Delta are buddy-buddy. She got her 2 AI, couldn't handle it, and gave them back. So where the fuck are they now? Like, are they just, like, in jars or something? Or just off-station somewhere else? Does somebody else have them? Do we ever see them in Season 10? Not Epsilon versions either, like the real versions, because the meta ends up getting them down the road. And if she never had them then does the director just hold on to them and then give them to the meta? Or does Sigma talk Main into stealing them? I literally don't know. I'm really upset about that. Right? Logic is out. If one of her 2 AI is Fear, so it would be Logic, Fear, and something else has already been extracted from the Alpha. So his memories are still intact, his rage is still intact, his creativity and ambition is still intact, his deceit is still intact. As of right now, I don't fucking know. There could be a lot more. I don't know the order in which they were created. I think Delta was the first one created, just based on that knowledge or based on that moment when he was born or brought into existence. So yeah. So yeah, like, and I mentioned here, I was like, oh yeah, Theta's another one. Like I don't think York, I don't think North got him yet, just because he would have definitely used him in the field, right? All of these other guys, like Washington doesn't have Epsilon, because once that happens, his fucking mind's gonna blow up from the inside out. South doesn't get one, CT doesn't get one, Carolina gave hers up, so everybody else who would have an AI, the only other one would be North, and it doesn't seem like he got one yet. So, and also, I don't know what Theta's based on. I don't know what he's based on for the Alpha, so I'm wondering that as well. But yeah, she gave hers up already. They took a toll on her. It doesn't seem like it affected her, because she still seems the same, right? She's still cocky. She's still a hard ass. She's still a badass on top of that. She's still kicking ass and taking names. I thought it would have done a lot more psychological damage to her, because when we see her in the present, she's like, I want to fucking kill the director. When before she was like, I'll do anything for you, director. So in my eyes, I'm just thinking, did her having 2 AIs like fuck her up psychologically? Maybe it did, you know, and maybe now it's taking its toll even more now, because she's been looking for Alpha forever. You know, she's been looking for Epsilon. Well, she's been looking for the Alpha. She found Epsilon. So I don't know. I'm just wondering that. Like, I just really hope they don't skimp out on showing us those 2 AI. I hope they explain what Theta is in the show. I hope I don't have to wait to read that book to find out what they're all based on. And to just see them and see their interactions and see what they sound like and how they talk to each other. Like, I love Delta's manner of speaking. I love his voice. I love the way he talks. I love his mannerisms. I love his attitude. I love his charm, his humor, and like everything else. Like, ever since Delta's come up, and I mentioned it too, I was like, oh my god, I love D, and everyone like took that comment and ran with it. But I don't know. I love Delta so much that I want to know and get to know and hopefully love the other AI just as much as him. I highly doubt we're going to have as much time with them as Delta, because Delta was relevant even in the present, and we got to see a bit of Epsilon Delta after Epsilon came into the picture too. So, I don't know. Those are just my thoughts of her to AI. She gave them up already. AI are already being distributed. Some people have them, some people don't. I don't think Theta's been distributed yet, and maybe that's why South hasn't gone over the edge yet. Another quick question, and this is like probably the most important question of this entire video. What the fuck happened to Georgia?
Wait, what happened to Georgia?
Nobody knows! They never found him!
So I've noticed over the last couple of days that the whole Georgia comment is like an inside joke within the community. I remember, and I'll try to go back and find this comment, and if I do, I'll post it here on the screen. But I remember when I first told people, hey, I'm starting Red versus Blue. I have a friend of mine, Georgia, who's putting this list together of all of these videos that I can watch in a specific order as I can continue to catch up to RVB. And I remember some people were like, what happened to Georgia? How did you find Georgia? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And this was before I even knew anything about freelancers. And now it makes sense. My friend Georgia, she's been a great help for my Red versus Blue experience since season 3. I met her a couple years ago at RTX. Not this past RTX. I believe it was last year's RTX that I met her for the first time. We got a picture. It was really great to finally meet. I mean, it was very brief. We didn't really get to hang out or anything. Hopefully she goes to RTX in future, just so we can. But like, I found it very interesting that Georgia is a freelancer, and even when I listened to what's it called, On Your Knees, when I listened to On Your Knees and like Lamar, like they were going through all of the freelancer names and Georgia came up, I was like, Georgia's under a bus, and I thought of my friend Georgia. And then when they mentioned what happened to Georgia, like I think of her all the time now, because she's actually the only person I know with that name. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. She probably hears it constantly being a part of the Red versus Blue community, and I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, apparently it seems like, based on what they mentioned, Carolina says, use your jetpack sparingly, course control only. You don't want to end up like Georgia. So either Georgia used like his or her, is it a boy or a girl? I think it's a guy. I think they said it's a guy. I'm gonna go with it's a guy. Even though I know a female Georgia. So I guess he used his thruster packs too much, for more than just course control, and it like blew him into deep space, or it blew him into a fucking meteor, or into like shrapnel or something like that. Basically, it had to have blown him off course into deep space, because South says they never found him. And then they were like, you do not want to know what happened to Georgia. As if something gruesome or disgusting or crazy happened to him. So much so that knowing about it would make you regret wanting to know. I think that's where the mystery and the meme comes from. So yeah, what happened to Georgia? I think that was pretty funny. It reminds me of my friend Georgia. And now I'm in on the loop with everybody else. Hopefully we see Georgia. I don't know if we ever will. We get little bits and pieces of mentions of other freelancers like Utah, Georgia, Florida, and stuff like that. I don't know if we'll ever see these freelancers besides them getting a name drop here and there. But yeah, I like the meme and I'm a part of it now, which is great.
Would someone please tell me what happened to Georgia?
Dudes, you do not want to know.
I really do, though.
So I can see Monty is back to work with more animation. Anti-gravity fighting with a gravity hammer was probably a cool, like, compare and contrast. Like, hey, let's give you a gravity hammer to fight in zero gravity. It wasn't as crazy. Like, I literally think Spiral is a masterpiece. I don't care how good the animation gets from here on out. I don't think anything is going to touch Spiral, in my opinion. I think that is like the quintessential Red versus Blue action experience. You have energy, you have teamwork, you have choreography, you have action, you have music. Everything came together like perfectly in that. And I think this was like a few steps down. It was mainly Carolina kind of flexing on everybody. It was mainly her doing most of the work with a little bit of support from North and South. But the gravity hammer surprised me the most because I didn't think she was gonna take that. I don't even think it showed her take it, because the first time we see that is in like that kind of war room with all of the weapons where the sarcophagus was being held. So it was in the vault of the heist mission, and it was in the same room where Maine ended up getting his signature brute shot. and the gravity hammer was in there, and she used that to like hit the like the shark face guy with the flamethrower, and that kind of like either knocked him out or killed him. I don't know which one, but yeah, like she does that as like a one-time thing, and that's it, and you don't see it again. And they were super subtle about hiding it, because it's in the shot in the back of the airship, like when everyone like sets up to kind of have the hangar door open for them to fly out. Like, she looks over to the right, and I was like losing my mind because CT and South were on a mission together, that I didn't notice that was the handle of it. And then the airship, like the doors like go down, and it like cuts to a different area, so you don't see it on the side there. And then she just jumps off the airship with it, and it's on her back. And you don't notice it until she jumps in the air and throws it at the ground. So that like really, really, really surprised me. I don't know if that's considered her signature weapon. I don't know if she took it. I doubt, but then again, I didn't see her take it after she like wrecked everybody, and like they went into the boneyard to go and find the insurrectionist leader. But then again, I didn't see her take it from its initial place, which was the spiral mission. So I don't know. I don't know if they just grabbed some loot as they left. I don't know if she got that elsewhere, but that's the only thing I can think of. Like, she got that gravity hammer because it was initially given, or she initially used it back during the heist mission. So I thought that was cool, you know, them needing an excuse for gravity to be off for Monty to kind of go crazy with animation, jumping through the air, spinning on the freaking cars, launching everybody, throwing everybody with the gravity hammer. That shit was so cool. The music went really well with it. I think my favorite scene was like Carolina was like spinning with like the plasma rifles, and then she's like running and fucking like running her ass off on one of the warthogs that is constantly just spinning, and then she like knocks one of them, it spins, and then she like knocks it off, like, and then she hits the warthog, and then the gravity goes down, and then Wash is like, why do cars hate me? Which that's kind of like a retroactive reference, because this is taking place in the past, so it's set up in a way that if you're watching this episode, you already know like Wash's experiences with warthogs, like crashing through the walls or anything like that. So it was a retroactive reference that kind of lends itself a little bit to the viewer more than like the actual moment that's happening on screen. So I thought that was great. Carolina flexing on all the UNSC. It's not really much of a competition. The gravity hammer was subtly brought in there. It was subtle as fuck. And then when it comes into action, it's like, holy shit! And then she's just batting everybody off. That entire fight was great, and then the landing reminded me of her landing, like, not her landing, but she's essentially a parallel to Pyranikos, who is voiced also by Jen Brown. Jen Brown voices Pyranikos and Agent Carolina, and the same landing that she did at the end of this fight was similar to the one that Pyra did against the Deathstalker in Ruby Volume 1, which was, again, a little subtle reference to the similarities of those characters and the fact that they both have similar similar voice actors. Get it together, Arnold. Anyways, we gotta talk about CT. Holy fuck, do we have to talk about CT? So much so that I have an entire page worth of notes dedicated to her. So I'm gonna break this discussion down in a couple of ways. There's gonna be things that I just mentioned offhandedly as things that I noticed, and kind of putting something together that I've been thinking over ever since I watched the initial batch. So I was initially going to make this its own separate video because my theories were kind of going crazy. I have like a picture of what my notebook initially looked like. This is a lot cleaner. But I have a picture of what my notebook initially looked like when I was putting all this together, and I was losing my mind. I was like, oh my god, it's all coming together. I go back, I watch season 8, I watch season 9, I watch season 7, right? Like Under the Sand, the desert scene, the first time we get the name CT, the first appearance of CT, and I'm using air quotes because I think I know what's going on here. But first and foremost, I guess this episode confirmed, or this moment, when CT goes into that renegade airship out in Bone Valley, her armor ability appears to be holographic projections, which is kind of cool that even though she doesn't have an AI to kind of regulate, enhance, or just make it easier for her to have an armor ability, she still has an armor ability despite the fact that she doesn't have an AI. I don't know if that's what it is. That's all I can assume that it is because it seems very specialized and specific for her. I don't think I've seen anybody else who can do something like that. I know everyone has stuff like voice changers and things of that nature, but only one person has a bubble shield. Only one person has active camouflage. Only one person has like reactive camouflage. You know, so everyone has like their own things. Like York has the regeneration. So I'm assuming that's her armor ability. But Under the Sand has plagued my dreams since it happened. The concept of CT has plagued me since I first heard about it. So, Under the Sand, I believe it was Red vs. Blue, Season 7, Episode 9 was the first episode we got of CT.
But you can plainly see, we're trying to uncover that structure to recover something. That's already more than you need to know.
Do you have a name?
You can call me CT.
Got it right there, CT.
Not one you would recognize.
Similar armor, I called it Brown Man at the time because I initially missed the name of CT. Similar armor, sounded like a guy, and was out in the desert seeking an artifact with an alien named Smith.
No, I don't think they know anything. You get back to the temple. Keep working on getting it open. I'll take care of these idiots.
Moving forward from that, said CT gets lasered in the face by Epsilon as the orb. They're buried by, like, Sarge is like, oh, bury the enemies of this battlefield. So, like, when Tucker came out of the temple, he, like, wiped out all the aliens. CT was killed by Epsilon, and they were all buried. A little bit of time passes. The Meta and Washington are in the desert, and they dig up CT's body.
Hey, what are you guys doing over there? What the? Is that CT? That's impossible. What's she doing out here?
What are you looking at?
Don't bother. She didn't get an AI, remember?
Down in front.
Scavenger for equipment. See what you can...
And at that point, I was already fucked. I was like, she? That sounds like a he. So I kept going back and forth. Every time I talked about CT, I was like, him or a her? Is it a boy? Is it a girl? Is it, you know, like, it was like Identity Crisis, because it's presented one way, it's told to us another, and then when season 9 starts, we see Connie, Connecticut, CT, actually a girl, same armor as the guy, and it's weird because right now they're discovering another artifact.
You really think they found another artifact? How could nobody have discovered that when they were processing the wreckage?
They didn't know where to look. And they didn't have what you have.
So, this got my noodle going, okay? Pretty sure you guys understand where I'm getting at with this, all right? I still have a few more notes, so I kind of want to break down my initial thought process, all right? I'm going to break down the initial thought process of what I thought at the time, and then I'm going to come to the initial conclusion. So, the guy at the Bjorndal Cryogenics Research Facility, like the attention assholes guy.
Attention assholes! Stand down, you're surrounded!
The guy that reports at the sarcophagus mission.
What the? Looks like we got an alert on Sector 7. That's the vault. Take a team up there now.
Guy on the computer that CT is talking to during season 9.
I'm trying. I understand. I just need more time to... I have to go.
This guy currently present in Bone Valley, and the male CT of season 7, my initial thought was they were all the same person. As of right now, that theory is only half right. Apparently, and I went back, oh my fucking god, I went back to season 9, episode 2, The Twins, where actually I think it's actually episode 3, number 1, when Carolina comes into the picture. So the first time we see that guy, attention assholes, give us back our data file, blah, 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 blah. Carolina comes through, fucks up everybody, apparently kills everybody, majority of people in that fight. But we missed one thing, or rather, I missed one thing.
What the?
If you notice, Carolina uses her grapple hook, knocks the turret on the ground, destroying the platform underneath. All of the goons and stuff fall down to their death, but at the bottom right corner, there's a tiny little platform. And that guy, I'm gonna call him Lieutenant Number 1, just to kind of keep tabs on him. Lieutenant number 1 falls and survives. He's a member of either Charon Industries or the Insurrection. He survives his encounter with the freelancers, gets out of there, most likely reports back to the leader, and moves on. As time passes, the next big mission, the heist mission, the sarcophagus mission, he is there, stationed there most likely by the leader with Lieutenant number 2. We're going to call him Sharkface because he seems well known enough in the community. So Lieutenant number 1 and Sharkface are there again. And this is where my theory fell apart because I was like, oh, this is probably the same guy. And he shows up recurringly. He's the dude in the desert. He's the guy on the computer. He's the guy that CT's talking to right now. Phyllis actually killed him with the firing main cannon.
Fire.
Firing main cannon.
Oh, son of a...
So that kind of destroyed the big, like, oh my god, reveal factor for me. That, like, this one guy has been, like, multiple people that we've seen throughout since season 7 up until where we are now. But at the same time, he's still in the chain of command. So everything that this lieutenant has known, he's probably has known. And I don't know at what point him and CT crossed paths, or where they got to the point where CT's like, I'm gonna join the enemy, because it seems like they have a thing for each other. I'm also gonna call this guy from now on CT's boyfriend, just to fucking keep him in my mind as well as, like, because I don't know if he has a name. I know he's insurrectionist leader, but it's easier to know him as CT's boyfriend if they do have a thing. And it appears like he cares for her and she's doing all this stuff for him and stuff like that. I obviously have my theories for that as well. But CT's a double agent for the insurrectionists, which seem to be under the umbrella of Charon Industries. And she's leaking information. She's telling them plans about Project Freelancer. She's essentially going behind her former teammates' back for this new family that she's siding with. And the insurrectionist leader happens to have a thing for CT. So they're a pair. They're a thing, and they're presented in the scrapyard at this point in the episode. Now, between now and season 7, a couple of things could have occurred. At the end of these batches, it's shown that CT actually goes along with them. I don't know if her teammates ever find out, because at the end of the batch, they're like, CT's gone. And the director's like, define gone, agent. Like, what does gone mean? Did she die? Is she MIA? Did she backstab us? Is she a traitor? Did she leave with the enemy? Like, what does that mean? What does gone mean? So right now, I don't know how they're going to come to that verdict of, is she dead? Is she missing? Or do we suspect that this was a setup and she's in on it? Because, my fucking god, there was a line that Carolina said that I fucking missed. And I'm like kicking myself in the ass that I didn't notice that she was onto it just like I had. Like, I thought, I was like, CT's playing all of you, and she was putting the pieces together as well.
More and more like a setup.
So between now and between season 7, when we see the male CT, I am going to go out on a limb and say that something happens to CT. And I say that because as of right now, present day, I genuinely feel like it's destiny that all of these freelancers are going to die. I think, like, in present day, York is dead. North is dead, South is dead, Maine is dead, Wyoming is dead, Texas is technically dead. Washington is alive, Carolina is alive, and the director is alive. If Carolina is going through with it, I don't think the director is gonna live. I don't know if them two are gonna live, because they're seemingly the only ones left. But I do feel in my heart of hearts that at least the freelancers that were most relevant to the project are gonna die. And so one of two things can happen with CT. She dies, or she rises through the ranks of Charon Industries and becomes like the new leader or some shit. I have no idea, because I don't even know if Charon Industries exists in present day, because if this is the same guy who's the leader of Charon Industries, why is he posing as CT in the desert with aliens looking for artifacts instead of leading his insurrectionists or leading Charon Industries, if he's the leader of that, if they're intertwined or if they're one and the same. Also, if the project is disbanded, why would you pose as CT anyway? It's not like you get any type of assets or any type of leverage because you're a member of Project Freelancer. So I don't know if it's one of those two things, but more importantly is the reference and the mention of artifacts. So when we see male CT in the desert, they're trying to get into the temple with the aliens' help to get whatever artifact is in there. I assume it was the Epsilon orb. So he's in CT's armor, posing as her, with aliens, looking for an artifact. Okay? He's with CT right now, in her armor, and they state...
You really think they found another artifact? How could nobody have discovered that when they were processing the wreckage?
They didn't know where to look. And they didn't have what you have.
So my first question is, another artifact. So what artifact are they talking about prior to this one that they discovered? When you say another, that means one before they found more than just this one. They found another one. So what was the artifact before that? Are they referring to the sarcophagus that they stole? Are they referring to... They can't be referring to the Epsilon orb because that's another artifact that's found in the distant future compared to now. So what artifact are they talking about that was found prior, and what artifact are they talking about now? Number two, what does she have? He mentions they didn't have what you have. Now, I interpret that a couple different ways. Number one, is she some type of artifact tracker? Like, does she have, like... Does her armor have, like, special technology that tells her where there's super secret advanced alien technology? Is that why she's able to find artifacts now in Project Freelancer past? Is that why he takes her armor to find artifacts in the present? I don't know. Like, is it that? Does she have, like, alien DNA or some... I don't know, because he had an alien helping him, and he says they didn't have what you have. Does she have, like, a little junior of herself? Is she, like, part alien? I don't know. It's weird. Or did he mean that in a sentimental way? And this is going to tie into the next thing that I'm talking about here, which goes into, like, why would she betray Project Freelancer? Why would she switch sides? And I think, in a way, I'm looking at this, at how Project Freelancer treats CT versus how the insurrectionists and or Charon Industries treats CT. In Project Freelancer, she is seen as the epitome of failure. She is seen as a liability. She is seen as someone who will always screw up, as a screw up, basically. She is seen as nothing resourceful. She is, you know what I mean? Like, she's nothing to the director. She's not even on the fucking leaderboard. She's never been since I've been watching. And so that feeds on that insecurity of her to know, and even in the song, Can't Trust Anybody Now is confirmed to be from CT's perspective by Jeff Williams himself. And in one of the, like, the ending lines, it mentions, like, like, the biggest fear is, like, knowing that you'll never have a home. Knowing that you'll never have something to go home to, or someone to go home to, or have a place to call your own, or have a place that feels safe. Because it's a dog-eat-dog world out there for freelancers. They all were friends at one point. They all cared about each other. They all laughed. They all, like, helped each other out. And as things got more and more serious with the AI and the director and everything else, they started becoming competitors. They started becoming enemies. They started, like, killing each other for ranks and for attention and for acknowledgement. And that is probably what fed into her insecurity to side with a different group. A group that she probably sees as family. A group that she sees as her home. Someone like this leader cares about her more than the leader. So it's kind of like a juxtaposition of the leaders. Look at the leader of Project Freelancer and how much he doesn't care about CT. And look at the leader of the insurrectionists and how much he shows that he cares about CT. And I can see on an emotional level why she would switch sides at that point. It's not about the AI, it's not about the ranks, it's not about the accolades and the acknowledgement. It's about feeling and being human with others. And they give her something that she needs, that she wants, that she can't get where she was at before. And so I think maybe his way of saying they didn't have what you have was like a sentimental way of showing how helpful CT can be, how much she's needed, how much she's wanted by the insurrectionists. It's like saying they didn't have what you have. They didn't have your skills. They didn't have your talent. They didn't have the knack that you have to find these artifacts. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't something tangible like technology or you know, like, yeah, I guess like maybe it's not something to do with her armor or her tech. Maybe that was just a way of him just saying they didn't have the innate skill, the innate ability that you have to find these things. And that's why we found it and they didn't. And again, it plays into that emotional side of her that's been abused so much in Project Freelancer that she now finds in someone else. And who knows if this guy really even cares about her. Maybe he's just using her, you know, because she's Freelancer, because she has this information that they can use to their advantage. And maybe he's playing into that into those emotions that she has. And if she ends up dying, maybe he just sees that as another opportunity to be like, oh, I have armor now. I have her armor. I have her name. I basically have clearance to kind of do that kind of stuff now because I'm a freelancer. So I don't know what it is right now. That's generally how I feel about CT in terms of her switching sides. And yeah, I went through this whole process of like thinking it was like the lieutenant guy, and then it turns out it's this leader guy, and he's been here since season 7 and all that other stuff. I just wanted you guys to know where my mind was at throughout this entire process. I thought this one guy was like 5 different people throughout the entirety of this series, and it turns out he wasn't the guy at the research cryogenics place, and he wasn't the guy during the sarcophagus, unless he just changed his armor, and unless he somehow got struck by the main cannon of Phyllis and survived, and rose through the ranks and became the leader. But yeah, this guy's the leader. He's in cahoots with CT. They're in a relationship of sorts. They fell for each other. She switched sides, provides him intel, leaks information, and essentially she was basically here to set up and kill her former teammates. They were all there to be set up. He knew they were coming. He knew that where they were going to be. He set up the nuke, and then he dipped. And that nuke, they probably expected, killed the freelancers. He even attacked the mother of invention, which was crazy. The only other thing that I'm expecting or wondering right now, obviously we'll find out as time goes on what they think in terms of the verdict. Do they think CT's alive? Do they think she's dead? Do they think she went AWOL? Did they put 2 and 2 together and imply that she did betray them? The only thing I really want to know about this whole thing is Charon Industries still up and running in present day? I'm pretty sure the insurrectionists probably got weeded out after the war or during the war or anything like that. But Charon Industries in particular, I just want to know if they're still kicking in modern day where we are right now in the story. So CT's thing's out of the way at this point, and at this point I'm gonna try to wrap up episode 3 and 4 because they did really go well together, especially with the present, with Carolina and Washington, the Reds and the Blues, and then a little bit of the ending of finding out the aftermath and just seeing what happened between the freelancers and the nuke and all that other stuff. So episode 3 and 4, especially at the wind station with the Reds and Blues, was such a fucking throwback. Right? Like Blood Gulch Chronicles, like seasons 3 and 4 throwback of this place that has so much history behind it, so much nostalgia behind it. This is the place where, and you know, and I'm just jumping right now. I know like there was a moment before when they came out of getting Epsilon and the Warthogs come around with Sergeant Griffin. I'll get to that in a second, but O'Malley's base. I don't even call it the wind station or whatever the hell that place is called. I call that place O'Malley's base. This is where the feud with O'Malley took place. This is where Tucker gets his fucking signature sword, his signature weapon with the alien. This is where Andy's introduction comes into the mix. Andy the Bomb. This is where we first get sights of me putting together that Tex was the beta, because she was also able to like lose her body and be a quote unquote ghost and do the same things that Church did. So the instances of her being the beta came to light around this time. This was the area, or this was the location where Washington first mentioned Carolina and mentioned her 2 AI that she had at the time. And this is one of many places where the meta was faced off against with Washington. Washington got wrecked, right? But nonetheless, it's a memory. It's a moment that I remember and that I kind of went through, and it was crazy. And that was back during the time when I thought O'Malley was the big cheese, you know? I thought he was the big head honcho, final boss, not final boss, but I was just like, I took it so seriously. I was like, looking back on it now, I'm like, no, like, Blood Gulch isn't serious. Even though there's conflict, even though there was O'Malley, even though there was Omega, it really kind of took off after the Out of Mind when the meta started becoming a factor. But it's such a fucking throwback, man. It really is. You know, O'Malley's bass, the fucking Warthog music, just hearing that shit, seeing Griff's laziness, Simmons' antics, Caboose's genius, Tucker's ways with women and how he's like, you know, a womanizer of sorts. I don't know. It's so, I don't know. It's a special feeling for me because, you know, I feel a different type of way with Ruby than I do for Red versus Blue, but I think Red versus Blue is like, I don't know, it's such an experience. It's so special. And it's great to even have people who know about it and can talk about it, and they can talk about what they liked and what they didn't like, and their greatest or favorite moments, and what's expected and what they look forward to. You know, and I've been doing that for the last 3 years, and I remember what it was like watching these episodes and seeing O'Malley and the bass and, you know, Maine coming here to recharge his batteries when he had all of the armor abilities and the AI on him. I don't know. It was such a different experience back then, you know. And then we get to see a little bit of Carolina and her interactions with the Reds and Blues, for better or for worse. You know, her whole Grandmaster plan of approaching the director or killing the director and using Epsilon for that. But I like the juxtaposition going on right now between the freelancers and the Reds and Blues, because what you got to understand is that the Reds have it so fucking easy. And Griff even says it too. He's like, look, lady, you're coming in here with your sink, easy bake oven, sink, refrigerator. You're coming in here with your sinks and your marks and telling us what to do. It's like, look, we have a code. We have a system. We get orders. We don't do any of that shit. We take bathroom breaks. We take snack breaks. We screw around. It's a fucking Red versus Blue Blood Gulch sitcom in this bitch. And that's essentially the life that these guys have had. And it's a complete opposite 360 degree difference for the freelancers. Their life is quite literally all work and no play, whereas the Reds and Blues are just slack off, do the bare minimum, get by, and fuck around. And so, you know, I think this is really great because it seems like Washington is getting that redemption. You know, he's gone through this horrible lifestyle of being a freelancer, being a Boy Scout, being so naive, having so much admiration, looking up to the director, to being used, abused, backstabbed, betrayed, shot in the back, left for dead by the people that he considered his friends, his family, and wanting to be done with it all, that it completely changed him as a person, and he has a second chance now. He fakes his death. He joins the blue team, and he's kind of in retirement now. He's kind of like, he's lived through it all. And I'm happy for him. I want that for him. And I think Carolina is going to be a tougher egg to crack because of the fact that she was the number one, because of the fact that she had higher expectations to be met by the director than anyone else, that she was so high on this pedestal that she was unable to kind of go down to the same level of her peers, where people kind of looked at her and were intimidated by her or felt inferior to her. And that doesn't make for good relationships, you know, for CT, for South, and it kind of trickled down to even her own mental stability, not being able to handle something like the 2 AI, which is probably what the director expected of her. And now, you know, I don't know if she's going to get the same treatment, because like I mentioned before, I do think all of these freelancers are destined to die, you know, and it's only been, the writing is on the walls so far from what we've gotten in the present day. You know, Washington seems to have gotten a redemption. Carolina is going through a phase that I think she needs closure. She needs to see the director. She needs to get out what she needs to get out. I don't know if she's going to kill him. I don't know if he's going to see the error of his ways at the end, but I don't know. It's going to be a lot harder for her to come around and strengthen her relationship with the Reds and Blues based on the fact that right now she's like, these guys are fucking stupid. These guys are useless. I just need them to get me to the director, and I need Epsilon to help me. Whereas Washington is giving them more of a shot. And I feel like them two are going to go through a lot as well, because he mentions the meta. He's like, oh, we almost stopped the meta here. And she's like, but you didn't. That's not just the meta. That's a guy that took a bullet for her. That's a guy that fought beside her on a fucking train on a highway chase scene, who fucking got shot at, who got beaten, who lost his voice, who got knocked off of an overpass. They've been through some shit. That's not just the meta. That's Maine. That's one of your boys. And that probably hurts. And I don't know if they're going to cover any of that. If they're going to talk about their past. If they're going to talk about what it was like and how they felt. God forbid, I'm pretty sure they would love Donut. Donut's all about expressing himself, talking about your feelings, being open with each other. I really hope he comes back this season and he's like the therapist that they need. But yeah, I mean, she just wants to hunt down the director with Epsilon, and that's it. And I especially if she went through it the worst, and she's still alive, whereas all of her other teammates, with the exception of Washington, are dead. Fuck yeah, get a second shot at life. Let go, like start anew. Like you have a new, the project does not make you who you are. It could have defined you in the past, but that's not who you are today, in present day. So, you know, unfortunately we still have to wait and see. But it was great, obviously, you know, seeing the red, seeing the blue, seeing all the antics, you know, Tucker's home movies, Griff's laziness, Simmons still being a kiss ass and all that other stuff. I like how Griff was confronting her of all people, because he's like, look, I'm the lazy one. It's like a juxtaposition again. It's like Griff's laziness compared to Carolina's drive and work ethic. It's like an immovable object meets an unstoppable force with them two. And I don't know. Again, I feel like they just need to break the ice and you know, and hit it off. But again, like this, and I was going through like down memory lane and everything. It's just this scene, O'Malley's base brings back so many fond memories. Even if I was even if I'm watching this show by myself in my room on a weekly basis, you know, over the course of 3 years or on and off for 3 years, it still reminds me how I felt when people were excited for me to start the first episode and the first season. And people who were excited for my thoughts and theories when I got into the miniseries, and, you know, speculating about the alpha and the beta and Epsilon and the director and the project as a whole and Monty's work. It takes me to that place. It takes me to a place of where I was welcomed so warmly by you guys. And if you guys have been watching me since the start, I appreciate that. And even people who have discovered me in recent times who have been like, dude, I fucking love your reactions. I love Red versus Blue. It's so cool to kind of get your opinions and your take on the show, even though I've watched it X amount of times. It's been so long. And, you know, I even bring up things that they themselves haven't heard of or haven't thought of, even though it's been out for God knows how long. So, I don't know. I'm getting touchy-feely now. I'm going to stop doing that, but that's kind of what this scene did for me. I really loved it. It was really special to kind of see this and go through memory lane of all of these moments that defined Red versus Blue at its early stages. Let's see, what else did I put here? Washington, the past versus the present. I just put here that he's basically like the badass of the Reds and Blues. Like, as of season 6, he kind of took command for both sides. But then when you look at him, like, I don't want him to end up like Georgia. He's literally like the runt of the Project Freelancer litter. He's literally like, I would say the caboose of the bunch, but he's a lot more competent than caboose, I would say. But he's essentially like the low end of the freelancer spectrum when it comes to him as a soldier back then to the person that he is now. And I liked that. It shows characterization, it shows development, it shows that, yeah, he's not the same person he was back then, and life does that to you, and now he's getting a second chance to be more softer and open and have I don't know, a happier life than what he's had over the last, you know, I don't know, maybe 10 years of his life in the project. So another cool thing that I really liked here, and these are going to be my closing thoughts and my closing questions and my closing statements for this batch. Hopefully it was, I'm pretty sure this is going to be like a fucking 2-hour video, but hopefully my rambles haven't been too overbearing at this point, just because I know that there's a lot to cover, a lot to talk about, and I'm going all over the place, but I do hope you guys understand. I liked this little parallel here between the director, the leader of Project Freelancer, and CT's boyfriend, air quotes, the leader of the insurrectionists, with their fire versus fire. And what I mean by that is, the director fired upon the insurrectionists in season 9.
Target locked.
Fire.
Firing main cannon.
Oh, son of a...
And so now, in season 10, the leader of the insurrectionists is returning that fire upon the mother of invention.
Fire.
I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting parallel, that these two leaders of these factions that are seemingly butting heads are kind of like taking it to the person's front door as of right now. And the only unfortunate thing is that the insurrectionist leader doesn't have a Phyllis that's like, firing main cannon. That would have been super cool. But, you know, we love Phyllis. We love Sheila for that. So that was a cool parallel that I noticed. One thing that I'm wondering here, because we see him constantly whenever the director's around, as early as, I think, season 6. And even during these flashback moments, is the counselor. I want to know how the counselor met the director. I don't know if it's like, hey, we've been friends since high school or anything like that, or we met in the field, or we met during this, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like the counselor is the director's right-hand man. Is that like his best buddy? Was it like the freaking, I don't know, is it like, you know, like the director, the counselor, and Allison were all friends that grew up, and then after Allison died, the wife of the director, the friend of the counselor teamed up with the director to bring his wife back. I don't know. I'm thinking like super critically of that, because it seems like the counselor is always by his side. And I want to feel, or I want to think that it's something more than just, oh, this is the guy that pays my salary. I especially with how gung-ho the director is with doing all of this, and the extent that he's doing all of this, with torturing the Alpha, with getting all of these renegade, you know, soldiers together to start this project. He's on his side, even when the meta was going nuts. Even when, you know, he was interrogating all the people from the Outpost 17B in Valhalla. Like, the counselor's always been around, and I'm fascinated by him at this point to want to know more about him, just as much as the director, just as much as the chairman of the oversight subcommittee. I don't know. I just want to know his origins. I want to know who he is. I want to know who he is in relation to the director, and really how they met and how he got caught up in all of this. Because I believe the counselor is also still alive in present day as well, at least as far as when the meta was around. So that's another thing that I want to know. And I guess these are the lasting questions that I have going into the next batch of episodes, which is, what's Maine's condition? Because he got absolutely fucking destroyed during the during the spiral mission, like the heist mission. And I know the season 9 trailer can infer that that's what happened. They did like the zero gravity surgery on him to kind of recover his voice and to kind of bring him back from the brink, essentially. Even though that the whole thing of that isn't canon, but him going into surgery, that surgery part, that could be considered canon because I expect that that's what's happening. So I can see Maine being at Mother on My Shoulder. When's he going to come back into the picture? What are Tex and Wyoming's whereabouts? Because they didn't go on this mission. I know Wyoming was on Group B when they went on the heist for the sarcophagus, so he's probably getting reprimanded because his group failed. And Tex was basically, that mission brought her to number 1. So I'm surprised that he took Carolina on the mission to the scrapyard, but not Tex at all. Like, at all. Like, she doesn't even seem to be around. So I was just wondering about those two things and just the verdict on CT, because that was like the last thing that happened for the episode. You know, basically define gone. So does gone mean, do you think she's dead? Do you think she died in that explosion? Do you think she's missing in action because she hasn't been around the entirety of this, the entirety of the mission as it started, like since they landed? Like you can even see it too when they all jump out of the airship. You see all 5 of them jump out. But when it switches to them going into the hangar bay, you only see 4 of them following each other because CT kind of went AWOL at that point. Or are you putting 2 and 2 together? Are you realizing that the enemy kind of knew we were there? The enemy's been setting us up. CT's not around, so does that mean she's helping the enemy? Does that mean she's a traitor? I don't know if they're going to find out because the Charon Industries ship went like into like light speed or hyperdrive, and they got the fuck out of there after they dropped the nuke. So I don't really know if they're going to find out, or if they're going to find out now, or if they're going to find out later, or what they're going to tell the director in terms of like expectations for CT. Or if they can ping her, because doesn't every freelancer have a recovery beacon on them? I know that's when they die, but you know, if she's missing, can't they find out where she is? I don't know. But that's basically everything. And then also there is a fuck ton of references. These are all the references that I wrote down, at least the ones that I could notice right off the bat. And there were some of them that I actually mentioned in my reaction. So the UNSC Sports Network, which is basically hosted by Stu Stewman, of all names, that's a reference to not only Griffball, but a Griffball expansion miniseries that went out a while ago. I guess Jack Patillo's also voicing Stu Stewman, which is pretty cool. There's a picture of a cat and the RTAA cameo on the computer of the guy that encounters Delta in the very first scene. The Give Me Back My Leprechaun thing, I guess, was a reference to Delta because he's like this small, tiny green man. And I guess in a way he's not wrong, like a leprechaun and, you know, Delta at that point. York mentions like, oh, you green little cockbite. And basically cockbite was the original name for Rooster Teeth. So cock is another name for a rooster, and bite, which would represent teeth. So cockbite was just too inappropriate to go with as like an official branded company name. So they went with Rooster Teeth. So cockbite is kind of like an old school reference of Rooster Teeth. Ian and Anthony from Smosh made another cameo as UNSC soldiers this time. So they were also cameoed as the cryogenics research facility soldiers that were complaining about, oh yes, a rifle. Hey, that's my rifle. Give it back. These 2 guys are over here lugging over shotguns, and then they end up getting killed by the freelancers who get the drop on them. So it's cool to see Ian and Anthony kind of get more cameos for Smosh, because Smosh is like no more nowadays. So again, it's a little piece of history with that. I've never seen Star Wars, but apparently there's it's a trap scene. I've seen that meme, like, it's a trap. It's a trap. So I guess that's a Star Wars reference got put in here.
It's a trap. They're hiding in the junkyard. Repeat, it's a trap.
And the last one, and this is going to be the wrap up for the video, this one was really cool. And I'm glad I noticed this when I did. So back during season 7, I did a video talking about all of the freelancers that I knew at the time, and I wrote down on the notebook. I don't have that notebook anymore, but I did show it on video. And when you see Washington section, I talk about, okay, this is Washington. This is what he goes by. His name is Agent Washington. His name is David, but he also goes by Prisoner 619B. And I wrote that, and that's in my Season 7 review for Red vs. Blue. So I was doing research that far back, like remembering everything about these characters, because they even, I think they call him that. I don't know if the counselor calls him that, or if the chairman of the oversight subcommittee calls him that, or whatever, or he refers to himself as like, oh, my name's also Prisoner 619B. But 619-B is actually on one of the wreckage. I don't know if it's on the hangar bay or if it's on like one of the wreckages in the scrapyard, but you can actually see 619B on one of the structures out in the scrapyard. So I don't know if that's like a reference, because this is UNSC property, and at one point, in the future, he's going to be turned over to the UNSC as a prisoner. So I don't know if that's where they put him, if he's in like that holding area, if that is a holding area. But I thought that was really cool that my research, even from way back then, kind of paid off when I ended up seeing that. Because I was like, numbers always mean something in Red vs. Blue, or for Rooster Teeth in general, right? Like RT636. So 619-B was pretty cool to get that as a reference of Washington's future prisoner number when he gets imprisoned by the UNSC. But overall, guys, that is everything. Those are my thoughts, theories, speculations, and ideas regarding the first 4 episodes of RVB Season 10. I do apologize right off the bat again for rambling. I know for those of you who want to listen to these, you're not really the ones I'm kind of referring to, because I do appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day, and however you decide to digest this video, whether you listen to it as a podcast or you literally sit here and watch me for however long this video is. But I really do appreciate it. And for those who are a little bit more impatient, I know that it's probably a little annoying to not be able to get my in-depth thoughts in a more concise manner that's not hours long, but this is really the only way I can think to do it for RVB. I'm still continuing to do research as always. I'm going to be getting into the next batch of episodes with Red vs. Blue Season 10 episodes 5, 6, and 7. That's going to be about a 20-minute reaction. That's the runtime is about 20 minutes, so it's 3 more episodes. So we're going to be taking our time going through these episodes. I think there's going to be 3 to 4 episodes per batch, because the runtimes are a lot longer, so there's a lot more to digest and talk about. But yeah, overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction for this batch. I hope you guys enjoyed the lengthy discussion, all of my thoughts and everything that I had to bring to the table in terms of my thought process as I'm catching up. I love Project Freelancer so far. The second half is everything that I wanted it to be, and we still have like another like 17, 18 episodes to get through. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure, as always, to leave your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Take care.